surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. Let hope arise and make the darkness hide. My faith is dead, I need a resurrection somehow. No, I'm lost in your freedom. And this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. He's roaring. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Good morning and welcome to the King's Report, Thursday, March 15th, 2018. Ninth year of Chungi, first month, 28th day. By the heavenly calendar, I'm your host, Hyung Moon, second king of Chaniguk. Let's go first to our AccuWeather forecast with Tim, the agent elder. Tim.
Morning, it's 38 degrees and clear at the Hyung this morning, and there's no snow on the ground. It's amazing because over in Newfoundland we had snow all day yesterday.
Yeah, there's snow quite a bit, didn't it?
It was very different from
Quite a bit.
Hyung area. I had to dig myself out of my driveway this morning.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Not so much because of so much snow falling, but it's because of the wind created snow drifts that were sometimes 2 and 3 feet deep. And so I had to
Really?
take the shovel to get myself out of the driveway. Anyway, this morning or today at Cheonryugung, we're expecting maybe a snow flurry or a snow shower this afternoon, and going up to 42 degrees, so there should be some melting as well. And tonight going back down to 25 degrees, mainly clear. And Friday, Saturday, 35 degrees, 41 degrees highs, and then Sunday, 38 degrees. And then colder, sunny and cold, sunny on Sunday. So we're a little bit cooler than usual. As we were discussing before the camera went on, the meteorologists are predicting possibility of a fourth nor'easter coming through next week. early next week. March 20th, Tuesday, March 20th is the official beginning of spring. It's the spring equinox. And a nor'easter may be coming through about that time. They're saying 30 to 50% chance, but we'll have to see what happens.
So we could possibly get another snowstorm. Wow.
Possibly.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know, I'm trying to speak a little quieter today. I have a little bit of heartburn because yesterday we ate so late. After training, and you know, kids went out and picked up some Wendy's, and it was heavy. I had a Baconator at night, you know, 10:30 at night. So it's like, oh my gosh! Now I'm starting to feel it. I'm not like in my teens anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa! I must have not eaten that. I must have not chewed properly, because like all night long it's been like this heartburn. It's a weird heartburn too. It's a weird type of feeling, heartburn. But I've had my apple cider vinegar. That's helping a little bit, but definitely not tip top. But you got to do what you got to do. So I'll try to be a little quieter today. We'll see how that works out. All right, folks. It's Thursday, March 15th, 2018 today. Let's start today. I want to show you all a little bushcraft tip from our friend from Colcac Bushcraft. He's also in Pennsylvania. I saw him at the Great Outdoor Show. But look at this nice bushcraft tip near the campfire when we're spending time doing some training outside.
This is one of those things that you're going to say either, why didn't I think of that? Or you're going to be like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. At the end of the day, though, it really comes down to just another tool in the toolbox. If you just have this and it's something that you can remember, all the better. This project requires 2 sticks. Stick 1 is the famous Y branch. Stick 2, literally just a straight stick. They're about 1 inch in diameter. They don't have to be anything real specific. But you could see about 2.5 foot in length. 2.5 foot in length would be about good. If you spend enough time outside camping, we've all had the issue that we need to move a piece of firewood to another part of the fire. So we either get the stick method and we're just trying to push it over, crushes our coal bed, or the good old foot method of trying to flip stuff around and it's just not working out too well. That's where these 2 sticks come into play. We make a very simple set of fire tongs. It's simple. It's easy. We would take our forked stick first of all and we place it in front of the piece that we want to move, like so. Second piece goes through the top of that fork, and then all that we did was create a pair of tongs. I can pick up flaming on firewood, place it where I want it on the campfire. Again, you could do it with smaller pieces, just like this, or large pieces like this one down on the bottom. Set your stick in. Second stick, like that, get it back in behind there, move it into another spot, whatever I need to do. Was I right or was I right? That is either the stupidest thing ever or the most genius, like, why didn't I think of that kind of thing? It's a very simple thing for around camp, and to have these 2 sticks, it's just a more valuable resource. So try it, give it a shot. It works out really well. That way you're not kicking anything around with your boot or trying to do anything with any kind of just single poker. You can move the wood exactly where you need it. Another tool in the toolbox. So this was Dan Wowak of Coal Cracker Bushcraft. I hope you enjoyed this video.
That's a good little tip. It's a little good bushcrafting tip there with Dan Wowak out of Coal Cracker Bushcraft. And that is Pennsylvania. He's out in Pennsylvania. Scream Bako. Okay. Let's now go to Drudge and get a headline news report. Tim, go ahead for the headline news report.
Okay. People who were using the airports recently may have to check their symptoms to see if they may be suffering from symptoms of measles. Travelers who landed in Detroit, Newark, and Memphis are popping up with measles. Some of these people are coming in from Europe and other places, and in Newark, passengers in terminals B and C of Newark Liberty International Airport were exposed and could develop symptoms as late as April 2nd. according to the New Jersey Department of Health. In Memphis, the young child who diagnosed with measles arrived in Newark from Brussels and flew to Memphis that evening. This was on March 6th. March 6th, yes. So people who were exposed could develop symptoms. In Detroit, anyone who was in the customs and baggage claim area at the airport's north terminal between 2 and 5 p.m. Eastern Time that day should seek medical attention from their primary care provider if they develop symptoms of measles. So, yeah, going to airports, you're exposing yourself to all kinds of stuff that people are carrying and spreading around. Yes.
And you're getting exposed by freaking TSA groping you.
Yes. Yes.
Totally nuts. And naked body scanners. Ridiculous.
The special election in Pennsylvania's 18th congressional district is being called a Democratic miracle, which it kind of is because in the last couple of election cycles, they didn't even bother to field a candidate. And President Trump won it by 20% points, 20 percentage points in 2016. But there's still not an official winner, although it looks like the Democratic candidate will probably win. No wire services or anything are actually calling the election yet because the absentee ballots have to be counted, and there's only about 650 votes or so separating the two. So theoretically, a Republican could still win, but it is the fact that the Democrat that did so well there is a warning. It's a warning to Republicans around the country, that's for sure. Although this was a pretty unique Democratic candidate. He is for guns, he is for the Second Amendment, and he says he will not vote for Nancy Pelosi, although he's not going to have a chance to either vote for or against during the current term that he ran for. Because his current term that he ran, he's only finishing out the term of the guy who quit last October, who resigned last October. So, and the next time Nancy, the Speaker of the House will be elected will be in January. So by that time, his current term will be expired. But he's going to run again in May for the primary, and then in November he'll run again. But that'll be a different district because Pennsylvania's districts are all being redrawn right now by the state Supreme Court. So, and of course, the Republican candidate also, he will run again in the autumn because the two will be in different districts in the autumn election. It's complicated. But anyway, it is what we do. It is uncomplicated in the sense that it is a definite warning for Republicans that they have to step up for the midterm elections if they want to keep their majority in the House and prevent the Democrats from impeaching Trump. Trump trade with Canada going from deficit to surplus. At the South by Southwest Music Festival, outrage in the air. Putin battles. This is the situation going on between Russia and the UK, where a couple of Putin critics have died in London now, and the UK is accusing Russia of violating their sovereignty. There's talk of boycotting the World Cup. Soccer World Cup that's going to be in Russia in June of this year. So UK may and England may boycott that. Eating human meat, fears raised over lab-grown flesh. That's flesh that doesn't come from an actual animal but was created in the lab. They can do that now. Sounds pretty, I don't know. Cops felony charge in brutal dog toy attack. Star photographer Leibowitz turns lens on France's Garde Macron. And liver-friendly alcohol. Normally alcohol puts a lot of pressure on the liver, but now they're trying to invent alcohol that doesn't do that, so that people can drink more. Well, I'm sure that'll work out. News race, MSNBC wins the election night, Tuesday. A quarter of Americans online constantly, but others remain off. And GDP forecast plunges because of the tariffs, mostly, basically. Now, people who forecast the GDP, America's GDP growth, are saying that the tariffs will cause a trade war with China, and that will bring America's GDP down. And also the Dow dropped on fears of that trade war with China. Toys R Us, famous brand, but now it's going to close. Plans to close all of U.S. stores, 33,000 jobs at risk. And Kudlow appears a lot on CNBC. He appears a lot, and also on Fox, I think, joining the White House. Stormy Daniels' mom, I'd vote for Trump every time. Second lawyer was involved in the effort to keep her quiet. And scientists push to experiment with human-chimp hybrid.
See, they're doing it.
Yep.
They've been doing it for a while, see?
Yeah,
Now they're admitting it.
Yep.
It's coming out.
That whatever that is, it's not going to have human rights under the Chinese Constitution.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That's a serious problem.
Yes. Denver Post, another newspaper, cutting a third of its newsroom. Finland ranked happiest place to live. I guess if you like saunas, yeah. USA drops to 18th place. Astronaut has different DNA than identical twin after a year in space. Climate alarmists resurrect theory, warming making winters cooler. Activists predict both outcomes, more snow and less snow. Well, yeah, okay. Can't lose. A Virginia man still claiming his ownership of vanished North Carolina island. And people running away from ICE in California were in a car crash, and there were fatalities, people killed in that. Tesla employees admit churning out flawed parts. Musk launching ironic media site with ex-Onion editors. Onion, of course, is a media site that is, well, everything is a lie on Onion. It's a parody site. And so they come up with the stories that often sound very true, and some people believe that they're true, but it's a parody site, and it's all parody and all lies. Sometimes pretty entertaining if you approach it that way. Police break up microbiotic diet slavery sect. Northeast may start spring with yet another snowstorm. We talked about that. And Erie, Pennsylvania may reach 200 inches, which is about twice what's their average of snowfall. Sean Penn debut novel hints at assassinating Trump. A mom who once married her son is now going to jail for marrying her daughter.
Golly.
Strange family.
What a... I'm trying not to yell today. Honestly.
Okay, we'll move on quickly then.
Gosh.
Wrinkle in Time director blames racism reason for bad reviews. School district plans on punishing students who participated in walkouts. Kids tear down the flag, jump on top of cars in Tennessee. Counter-protest to defend the Second Amendment. Cuomo demands action while surrounded by armed guards. This is the thing, I mean, you see a lot of these people, especially on CNN, talking about how schools should remain gun-free zones. But I want to ask them, what about your armed guards? Your studio is protected by people with guns. You're sitting there protected by guns, and you tell the kids that they should not be? I don't understand that. Airlift of Venezuela's starving zoo animals? I'm not sure. What about the people? I don't know. Rand Paul vows to block Trump nominees to run state and CIA. Well, that could make it difficult since the Republicans only have 51 votes, 51 people in the Senate. The Senate votes to loosen banking regulations. Silicon Valley Wunderkind, charged with massive fraud. Dubai princess disappears after posting chilling last video. All right, those are the headlines on Drudge.
Boy, that is so crazy. Now, that you did bring up South by Southwest Music Festival, and somebody did attend the South by Southwest video, gender whatever meeting, and that is, of course, Steven Crowder, who goes and crashes their party all the time. He was banned for Twitter. They banned him from Twitter for going there and posting a video that exposed them. YouTube also banned. YouTube, I guess, shut down his video. It's up now. I guess YouTube allowed it again, but they did ban it temporarily, I guess. Twitter did ban his whole account for violating community guidelines.
Those guidelines.
So it's just unbelievable, and we do need some more competition in the market. You know, DTube is something we're looking at right now, which is decentralized.
We've been researching. Greg and I yesterday were researching different options and possibilities, and there are a few. DTube is one of them. There are others as well that we might want to consider.
Anyways, they're just definitely clamping down on conservative voices that they don't like. Let's take a look at his video and why he was banned. This is the video that got Steven Crowder banned from Twitter.
It's not in my head.
A little bit, yeah.
Like this guy. Point to someone.
Like this guy.
South by Southwest. One of the funnest times of the year is for contrarians like us. Last year, we crashed an anti-free speech panel, a fitness and health shaming panel, and even streamed our own show live from Austin, despite Antifa trying to run us out on a rail. So it was only natural that we plan to return this year bigger and better than ever, only upon purchasing our passes, not K. Jared and I found out.
Hi, Jared. We are going to refund you and Steven's registrations, and it's for our code of conduct for the incident from last year.
Incident. I don't recall.
You think you made genocide happen? It's bullshit!
Oh, that makes sense.
And if you guys show up and interrupt another panel again, we will take whatever matters necessary by law to enforce the law and remove you guys. Okay?
I mean, what can they really do? Civil damages, trespass, they could even just call the cops on you.
What if we just sent an intern?
I don't see a problem with that.
Hello, my fellow gender non-conforming far-left progressive friends. How are we going to smash the patriarchy and the oppressive systems lying in today?
Quickly, lest you think I sent my intern Sven computer in alone, don't worry, I wouldn't leave him hanging like that. He just had to repeat exactly what I told him. I grew up without a father, and I always spent more time with computers, and so I've always identified.
I grew up in a fatherless home, just to give you my backstory, beep beep. And I spent a lot of time with computers.
Beep beep.
And I just have a strong connection with them, beep beep.
More so than people.
And more so even than people, and that's kind of why I'm a computer now. I identify as a computer. I don't know if that's okay. Beep beep.
And if you all think about it, really the human brain is just an advanced CPU processor.
I mean, if you think about it, like the human brain is just like another computer, right? Beep beep, just processing things. So yeah.
So Sven, when it gets to your turn, give your story like we talked about, make your joke, say you can call me anything you want, just not Windows 2000, and then end it with, I'm also a raging
Well, my name is Sven Computer. My pronouns, I don't really care. You can call me anything. Just don't call me Windows 2000. That will be very offensive. And that's about it. And I'm a raging.
I want you to be disruptive now and dismiss it and say, no, but I'm different from you. I'm not imagining it. I really am a computer.
Okay, can I jump in right there? I just want to say that, like, my kind of condition is not imaginative. So I don't know what yours about, but I'm totally for real. Beep beep.
Okay. Right on.
No, Sven. No, I really am a computer.
I feel comfortable.
Well, wait, I'm really a computer though, just so you know. Beep beep.
Like it's not just in my head.
I feel like he's
It's not in my head.
a little
dude.
bit, yeah.
Like this
Beep,
guy.
beep.
Point to someone.
Like this guy. It's not in my head. It's on a real computer. Beep, beep. Yeah, it might be.
No, we gave you a chance. So we might try to get security and ask you to leave now because you're creating an unsafe environment.
But I mean, if you think about it, it's not so different to be a computer. Beep beep.
I want you to know I got
Tell
the
them
whole thing on camera.
I've already hacked into the cybersecurity mainframes.
I mean, just so you know, I've already hacked into cybersecurity, so it will be pretty futile to call them beep beep.
It's an option for you. Which would you prefer?
I mean, you can try to get security. We'll see what happens. Beep beep. Well, I feel violated right now.
Say, how am I the crazy
So
person?
how am I the crazy one in here, though? Beep, beep. Oh, you sure tell me it sound like that? Like I'm weird. Beep, beep. Well, I feel like there's an unsafe space for me right now. Beep, beep.
Beep, beep. And if I'm not mistaken, some of you have viruses. Like this guy. Point to someone.
Well, beep, beep, but I've already scanned a few people here, and a few guys here definitely have viruses. Beep, beep, like this guy. So I feel like I can be of benefit. Beep, beep.
You're amazing. Keep it going.
Well, no, I just tried to be one of the community. Beep, beep. No, I think this is the right badge. I mean, that guy has the same. That guy has the same badge. Beep, beep.
Start yelling Alt Control Delete. Alt Control Delete.
Alt Control Delete. Beep, beep.
Let's delete that way.
I would authentically like you to turn your floppy disk into a hard drive and
I
ram me in
would
the
authentically like you to turn your floppy disk into a hard drive and ram it up my ass. Beep, beep.
We all had fun.
Can you please not touch my processor socket? That's not nice. Beep, beep.
You're an angry homosexual. Beep, beep.
I mean, you seem to be very angry. And
angry.
Are you queer?
I'm actually kind. Very kind. Very gentle.
You're very close to me, and you're trying to touch me and push me out, and that's kind of very offensive right now. Beep, beep.
So you're more of a Mac guy?
Because if you're like, are you more like a guy? Beep, beep.
A Mac guy. Macintosh.
A Mac guy?
You like Apple?
Are you not into Windows?
I'm trying to be very kind and very gentle.
Apparently me being here is offensive to you guys.
Ask him how long ago it was that he was a woman.
I mean, like, how long ago was it that you were a woman? Beep, beep.
This is digital discrimination.
This is digital discrimination right now.
You can go easy.
Beep, beep.
You can go easy.
Ask her how long ago were you a man? How long
ago were you a man, beep, beep?
Bro, you are seriously about to lose.
Hi.
Well, I mean, I'll go into sleep mode if you kick me out, beep, beep. Please stop touching me.
I will not.
What I believe makes a whole lot more sense than what some of those people think.
I think what I believe makes a lot more sense than what many people here believe, beep, beep. I will call my half-Asian queer lawyer.
Do it. I
Beep, beep.
hope you do.
Well, we're going to have to ask you to leave.
Okay.
I'm going to have to ask you to stop being a
You're
dick.
going to have to, I'm sorry.
I'm going to have to ask you to please stop being so offensive and being a dick to me right now, beep, beep.
Yep.
That would be uncomfortable.
You're right.
Yep. Bye.
And leave. That's okay. You can leave now, Sven. Leave.
Okay, I'll leave. But don't be so offensive next time, please.
Bye.
Beep, beep.
Nobody's being in the wrong room at the wrong thing. Thank you so much.
So it seems like the South by Southwest gender nonconformists aren't as tolerant as we thought, though they are just as crazy. So what do we learn from all of this? Nothing. Truthfully, not much at all, other than Sven Computer has balls of pure brass. All right, Sven Computer, you can finally plug your social media now.
Thanks, Beep Beep. You can follow me on Twitter at Sven.
Not going to happen. If you like this video, subscribe.
There you go. Steven Crowder and his crew, and his, I guess his new addition to his crew, Sven the Computer. Going to crash the gender conformity, what are they, a discussion panel or something like that, or whatever it was? I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And, you know, he was going in there and, you know, saying, hey, I don't see why I can't be a computer. We can all determine what we are. And
That's right.
and some people can be, you know, purple dragons and brick walls.
Sure.
Why can't he be a computer? It's all My Little Pony land anyways. There's no biology.
So Twitter banned him for that?
Twitter banned him.
Well, that's just, you know, just a little prank.
They totally banned him. I mean, they shut down his account. Facebook also didn't ban that video. And I saw yesterday that YouTube had banned his video. And even on Steven Crowder's website, it's still banned. But if you type it in, Crowder South by Southwest or SXSW, then you get that video. And I guess it's a YouTube site. I don't know how they did it, but it must be different from the regular YouTube. I don't know how they did it. But anyways, that video is up. It is up. It's maybe they connected to MySpace because I heard MySpace has it up.
MySpace.
Yeah, but again, these social media giants are proving how biased they are any of the things that expose how insane the beliefs and lunacy that they're pushing on people, that expose anything that exposes that, they are freaking out and they're trying to censor and shut those videos down. So kudos to Steven Crowder and his crew and Sven the Computer Man, who went in and just totally exposed how absurd that situation was.
The one that you just showed us, that was on YouTube?
That was on YouTube. That was on YouTube. So on his website currently right now, it's not being shown on YouTube. He's banned by Twitter for it. And the video we showed now was, I guess, YouTube got some backlash and maybe turned on his video again. But again, there you go. The tolerant people have left doing their tolerant censorship again. Because they're so tolerant, they have to shut down all opposing views. And they can't have any challengers or any other people say, wait a minute, this is kind of weird. It's the same thing they did with the Health Ranger, Natural News, Mike Adams, probably the second biggest alternative news website, health news website on the internet after Mercola. And they banned him from YouTube because he posted a video that there's only 2 genders. They banned his video for saying that there was only 2 genders. I mean, this is basic biology, okay, folks? So just absolutely insane. Insane. What they're pushing on this new generation is just incredible. I mean, it's beyond belief. The insanity of left. The unscientific nature of the left, who used to pride itself on actually trying to be scientific. The left actually tried to pride themselves on being scientific. That was their main reason for being atheists and agnostics, that it's not scientific that God could exist. Which, of course, William Craig has torn up and destroyed. That the belief in God or an intelligent mind is probably the most plausible explanation for how our universe is constructed. And if they can wage war on reality, folks, and they can make you believe that you can be a pink unicorn and a brick wall if you say so, or a computer, or you can believe that you just gender bend, and if they can make you believe that, you have no grasp on reality, no grasp on biology, no grasp on the way the universe works, and you think you can just make up the universe, have it operate as you wish, because you play video games and grew up on manga. I mean, it's so ridiculous. And if you're prone to those type of ideas and beliefs, then you're going to, in your mind, not accept that the universe that we live in has very clear limits and constants and conditions. You'll believe that everything is unlimited, which is simply not true. But of course, they want you to believe that because that leads very good into leftism, where they want to believe that you have unlimited resources from which you can steal. And you can constantly take and get into more and more debt and constantly steal people's taxes and that's just going to keep on coming. Help different parties feel victimized and self-victimize, and then have them vote for you and amass centralized political power and promise it's never going to end. It's never going to end. This idea that there's no fixed amount of resources leads to this incredible debt spending, which is opposite from reality. I mean, wealth and assets have a limit. I mean, that's why when we're on the gold standard, we're so much safer, because there's a limit. There's a limit to gold. Whereas with this debt spending banking system, there's no limit. It's just endless borrowing. And there's no consequence of that until you have to foreclose. And then literally the international bankers will fund and support politicians that will do genocide for them, i.e. Hitler, i.e. Stalin, i.e. Mao Zedong, i.e. Pol Pot, i.e. you name it. Isn't it interesting that during World War II, Germany's national debt went down? National debt went down, it didn't go up. Hitler, through the murdering of the Jews and the Gypsies and others, stole their assets, because they have a lot of assets. Stole their assets, liquidated them, and paid the bankers back. He borrowed money for the war, but he also had to pay back. So he did that by confiscating land, confiscating assets. And this is why genocide does not disappear from the modern age, 20th century. This is why genocide continues to exist, because of the fiat currency, fake monetary system run by the international banking cartel, with this idea of unlimited resources, unlimited borrowing. I mean, this is so dangerous. And then one day, the nation implodes. It totally implodes. The average American child now is up to what, $200,000 of debt as they're born. What have they done to accrue that kind of debt? Nothing. But we have been lulled into a sleep. We have been pulled, seduced into a alternative reality, which has no basis in reality. Unfortunately, there is a day of reckoning at some point, because when the debts run so high that the bankers feel that they cannot get paid back, they will use force to do so. And that's, of course, what Hillary Clinton was about. Hillary Clinton was going to do the will of George Soros and the international banking cartels. She was going to foreclose on the American people, wage war in the Second Amendment, trying to disarm the public, preparing already the FEMA camps, preparing the bathtub, literally hundreds of thousands of black bathtub coffins. The federal government buying guillotines and trying to make the case for guillotines on nightly news, saying that it's more efficient, it's more humane. FBI putting evangelical Christians or people that criticize the government on terrorist watch lists, designated evangelical Christians as terrorists, domestic terrorists. Incredible. Unbelievable, folks. But that was the reality that we were headstrong into. Now we've received some reprieve from President Trump, and God has been good and allowed a brief respite. But when these 4 years or 8 years pass, think about how the left will try to put in another radical in, and the international banking funding. George Soros being the top funder for Hillary Clinton. This is a man who has started wars around the world. So truly wicked people. Truly a scam. Truly a system of total lies and manipulation. But if you think about it, this idea that's pushed by the left, that everything in the universe has unlimited resources, or that there's no restrictions in the universe, it's just simply insane. Our universe has constants and conditions that do not change. The mass of the electron, the mass of the proton, the weak force, gravitational pull, you name it. These forces do not change across the whole universe. But that's why the scientists, in their own lusting, craving desire to pretend that this universe is not that structured and not that organized, want to imagine multiverses, or want to imagine other potential universes that may have other different constants and conditions with no evidence. Because if you look at a universe, it's so highly structured. It's so mathematically engineered. The Fibonacci spiral has precise ratios. The universe is so precisely fine-tuned, which would lead to an intelligent mind that has created that type of precision tuning. Because having that occur by chance is simply out of the realm, is vanishingly out of the realm of possibility. And it's all an attempt to discredit God or the intelligent creator. It's all an attempt in this anti-God hating ideology, which is clothed in different forms and formats, like different computer modules or programs with the same general algorithm to censor conservative speech, right? That's really like how it is. It's just different little formats, different little platforms that seem different. One is talking about the universe being a multiverse. One is talking about, but on the other spectrum, another is talking about transgenderism, and you can choose what gender you are, and you can bend the laws of reality just with your mind. This is all delusional. So, Health Ranger Mike Adams gets banned from YouTube for making a video stating that there's two genders. He got banned for that. And YouTube is trying to market itself as being for you. That's why they call it YouTube. Your content, express yourself, make the world a better place by having a free place of ideas. Well, obviously, the centralized YouTube does not believe that because their community guidelines are completely liberal fascist. And if you even challenge their ideas, you will be flagged and you will be banned. If we titled this video, Transgenderism is a Delusion, bet you this video would get flagged and it would probably get banned. But that's how tolerant the tolerant left is. Because it's not about tolerance, it's about taking over for them. It's about utter domination of ideas, of information, of power, of the use of force, you name it. It's a cult of power. And so the left has become not another party that's battling for ideas. The left has come to be funded and represents the will of evil on this planet. Funded by some of the most dangerous international criminals like George Soros. He was the #1 campaign contributor for Hillary Clinton. I mean, do you understand how dangerous these people are? Started wars in Ukraine, around the globe, funding radical leftist organizations so that he can implode those countries and take their resources and foreclose. Absolutely wicked. And America is always under threat. We may be out of the woods for a brief time, but it is quite a danger still that we have in America. Because if they can disarm this population, which is the last armed population, especially in these numbers, there's 150 million gun owners in America. Another I think it's now up to 500 million guns are in the market in America. So amidst the population, the homicide rate has dropped in half. Even though you've had that almost doubling of the number of guns that are in the marketplace, so to speak, or that in the hands of people legally. This is really the last bastion of sovereignty and freedom. I mean, and it's dwindling very fast. As the left is becoming energized by Trump, as the left is able to use slandering and propaganda tactics to bifurcate and balkanize these United States of America, as the left is able to use propaganda media to brainwash a whole new generation of children to become radical leftist fascists, leftist Nazis, leftist communists, enemies of this republic. Is it sad that we are down this road? Yes. Is it inevitable? Yeah, it's inevitable. Because in the end, when the day of disarmament comes, and if the American people acquiesce, they obviously deserve what they got, which will be total totalitarian, authoritarian control. Tech Team, cue Paul Joseph Watson's new video on the UK banning Laura Southern, Brittany Pettibone, and others from the journalists on the right or journalists who are libertarian. Let's take a look at what the Americas could become if we disarm. Take a look at this video.
The UK is really good at keeping out extremists. You know, like when they kept out Iraqi extremist Ahmed Hassan after he told border officials he'd been trained to kill by ISIS. Oh no, they let him in and gave him asylum, but at least they deported him after he was caught watching ISIS videos and singing jihadi songs with the lyrics, "We are coming with you to the slaughter in your home and country." Oh no, they didn't, and he went on to bomb a train. Okay, but wait, that's just one case. Youssef Zagbar, who in 2016 told officials, quote, "I'm going to be a terrorist," and then went on to carry out the London Bridge terrorist attack a year later. It's not like we let that guy in. Oh, Sheikh Hamza Sodagar, who called for homosexuals to be burned to death and thrown off cliffs, was stopped from entering the UK when he tried to give a series of lectures in London. Oh no, he was given a visa and welcomed in. Okay, but some are gonna slip through the cracks, right? Syed Muzaffar Shah Qadri, a preacher considered so extreme he was banned in Pakistan. Someone who praised the murderer of a politician in Pakistan who spoke out against blasphemy laws. At least he was banned from the UK. No, he was allowed in and went on to do a speaking tour of British mosques. Okay, but Mohammed Naqib-ur-Rehman and Hassam Hasib-ur-Rehman, two Muslim clerics who praised the same assassin in Pakistan, they were kept out, right? No, they were welcomed by the Archbishop of Canterbury. Okay, mistakes were made, but at least we stopped 400 returning ISIS jihadists from re-entering the UK. Right? At least we were serious enough about stopping extremism to make sure that didn't happen. No, they were all allowed in and then offered council housing and welfare. Okay, but at least the UK doesn't roll out the red carpet for leaders of Saudi Arabia, a country in which gay people are fined, arrested, imprisoned, tortured and killed. Oh. So what extremists are we stopping from entering the UK? Martin Sellner, a right-wing activist who planned to give a speech in Speaker's Corner Hyde Park about the threat to free speech. Banned. Brittany Pettibone, an author and activist who planned to conduct an interview with Tommy Robinson, a national figure who's made numerous appearances on national television. Banned. Lauren Southern, a conservative journalist who planned to make videos and work on a documentary. Banned. Lauren was specifically banned for handing out leaflets which said Allah is a gay god. Maybe if she'd have just represented a country that enforces the industrial persecution of homosexuals, she'd have been embraced with open arms. It's also interesting how Pettibone was detained and deported for attempting to interview Tommy Robinson, a fate that didn't await journalists from ABC and NBC News when they arrived in the UK to interview Tommy Robinson. Now just indulge me for a second, but it's almost as if all these reasons are absolute bullshit. And the real reason for them being banned is that the UK is an authoritarian country which has de facto begun enforcing blasphemy laws that make criticism of Islam, which is a belief system and not a race, a criminal offence. That can't possibly be true, can it? It can't possibly be true that we have a government which admits it can't keep track of 20,000 potential terrorists, yet is waiting in the middle of the night to pounce on and detain under the Terrorism Act a 22-year-old Canadian girl because she did some real-life shit posting. That's just not possible. That would be horrible. I mean, after Trump's disgusting Muslim ban, the world spoke out in unison against the outrageous idea of refusing people entry simply because of their private personal beliefs. That could never happen here. It can't possibly be true that our bureaucracy is so poisoned by political correctness it keeps 25-year-old conservatives locked up for days over their political opinions, while ignoring industrial-scale grooming scandals where young girls and children are abducted, drugged, abused and defiled for years on end, and the culprits aren't prosecuted because authorities fear they might be seen as racist, and our national broadcaster barely even covers covers the story, burying it between stories about the Crufts dog show and a council grant, that scenario is just too wacky to believe. I mean, it's not like while the current Conservative government detains and deports foreign nationals for criticising Islam, the potential next government in waiting wants to punish British citizens for criticising Islam. Who would believe such nonsense? Who would believe that authorities are turning a blind eye to marauding rape gangs while arresting thousands of people a year for offensive tweets? Who would believe that teachers are being reported to government counter-terror radicalisation bodies for saying God loves you? Who would believe that we can't afford to keep track of Islamic terrorists or tackle spiralling violent crime, but are quite prepared to spend £20 million policing Julian Assange 24/7? Who would believe that while acid attacks and stabbings explode, police are literally being sent to investigate playground insults? Who would believe that while Deliveroo drivers refuse to work in certain parts of the country because of violent attacks, police are encouraging people to call emergency numbers if they're offended by tweets? Who would believe that while police budgets are being slashed and the public is being told not all crimes can be investigated, a man in Scotland faces prison time for a joke video in which he made his pug dog mock Nazis? Ha 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 ha. Oh shit. Who would believe that we have a media that gets more irate about Trump's retweets than 411 injured and dead victims of Islamic terror in the UK in the last year alone? Thank God we don't have that. Who would believe that we have a government that's tougher on Facebook posts than returning ISIS jihadists? Who would believe that while we have all this going on, we also have a political establishment that's literally trying to overturn and annul a national referendum result? Who would believe any of that silliness? The only circumstances under which any of that could be true is if the UK was no longer a democratic country and was in fact an authoritarian state in which freedom of speech and freedom of assembly don't actually exist anymore. And we all know that's not the case, don't we?
We'll take a short break. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us.
I'm down here at the range today. I just learned a new technique from the father of the .44 Magnum, Elmer Keith, which is called shooting out of the notch, which allows you to make really long distance shots and still have an extremely precise sight picture. So I brought my CW9 car down, and with this little gun, we're gonna shoot this little munchkin at 200 yards up in the hills, applying this technique, and hopefully we'll make the shot. To apply this technique, instead of using the blade of the front sight lined up with the top of the rear sight, I'm going to take the dot of the front sight and raise it up so that it's out of the notch, but I'm still going to keep the front sight on my target. Bringing that front sight up like that is going to compensate for the bullet drop over that excessively long distance with just this little gun. So if applied right, we should be making contact. Let's see how it goes. I saw this shot, so I'm a little bit out of breath because you gotta run to make sure that is what I thought it was, and it was. So while making this shot, from that distance with these white dot sights, it literally would cover the entire target. You couldn't see what you were shooting. So using the Elmer Keith technique, you were able to raise it out of the back notch, I can't breathe, out of the back notch, allowing you to keep your accuracy, aim, and also still see the target, which is key because it was a hard shot, not gonna lie. But yeah, it went great, and Elmer knows what he's talking about. And for such a small gun to be able to take that hit, I'm very impressed with this. All right, guys, be sure to like and share, and I'll see you out on the range.
That was awesome. Hey, can I try that one? Yeah, let's do it with the 380. Does everybody have eyes and ears?
I'm down here at the range today. I just learned a new technique from the father of the 44 Magnum, Elmer Keith, which is called shooting out of the notch, which allows you to make really long distance shots and still have an extremely precise sight picture. So I brought my CW9 car down, and with this little gun, we're gonna shoot this little munchkin at 200 yards up in the hills, applying this technique, and hopefully we'll make the shot. To apply this technique, instead of using the blade of the front sight lined up with the top of the rear sight, I'm going to take the dot of the front sight and raise it up so that it's out of the notch, but I'm still going to keep the front sight on my target. Bringing that front sight up like that is going to compensate for the bullet drop over that excessively long distance with just this little gun. So if applied right, we should be making contact. Let's see how it goes. I saw this shot, so I'm a little bit out of breath because you gotta run to make sure that is what I thought it was, and it was. So while making this shot, from that distance with these white dot sights, it literally would cover the entire target. You couldn't see what you were shooting. So using the Elmer Keith technique, you were able to raise it out of the back notch. I can't breathe. Out of the back notch, allowing you to keep your accuracy, aim, and also still see the target, which is key because it was a hard shot, not gonna lie. But yeah, it went great, and Elmer knows what he's talking about. And for such a small gun to be able to take that hit, I'm very impressed with this. All right, guys, be sure to like and share, and I'll see you out on the range.
That was awesome. Hey, can I try that one? Yeah, let's do it with the 380. Does everybody have eyes and ears?
We are back. Welcome back to the King's Report, Thursday, March 15th, 2018. St. King reporting live from the Chanigung Palace Studios to all the kings and the queens of the Kingdom of God, 5:55, folks, a.m. Let's go now to a very important article from the Philadelphia Inquirer with Tim, the Agent Elder. Tim.
So the Philadelphia Inquirer reports that there is a gunmaker in the Poconos who has a vision, an AR-15 for every American.
Wow, who would that be?
Let's find out. Which among all the gun makers in the Poconos, which one has this vision? AR-15 for every American.
Wow,
it's
look
quite an extensive, in-depth interview of this gun maker.
Wow,
here's a photograph. Oh, there he is, yes. Justin Moon, owner of Car Arms, talks in the retail shop of their corporate headquarters in Greeley, PA on March 9th, 2018. So it looks like the Philadelphia Inquirer interviewed a Kukchinim and
zoom in on that.
Let me read the article. Out of Greeley, PA, an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle sits perched on a rack higher than all the other things that decorate Justin Moon's office in the Poconos. He built the rifle himself, and it rests above his diplomas from Harvard and the University of Miami, and shelves jammed with thick economic textbooks and business guides. Last week he sat at a desk beneath it discussing a dead serious plan to make that black gun even more ubiquitous in America. I mean, every American should really have an AR, Moon said. It's America's rifle. Moon 47 is a son of the late Reverend Sungmyo Moon, founder of the controversial Unification Church in South Korea, but makes a living as a firearms manufacturer. Car Arms, which he founded in 1995, makes tens of thousands of pistols and rifles each year from facilities in Minnesota and Massachusetts, including a semi-automatic version of the Thompson submachine gun, the Tommy gun that mowed down Chicago gangsters in the 1920s. Moon canceled plans to build a plant in New York State, where his headquarters were located after more restrictive gun control measures were passed there in 2013 that expanded bans on military-style weapons and limited magazine sizes. He looked to Pennsylvania, which he described as very gun-friendly. In 2015, local and state elected officials helped him cut the ribbon on his new headquarters and retail store in a 620-acre, not 6,000 yet, 620-acre industrial park he purchased off a winding road in Pike County. I think I share the values of many Pennsylvanians, Moon said. I fish, hunt, camp, you name it. Pennsylvania has a strong rural population with strong values. They love America. They love freedom. Last month, Moon's brother, Pastor Hyung Sean Moon, brought worldwide attention to rural Pennsylvania when he encouraged couples to bring their AR-15s to a marriage blessing at his World Peace and Unification Sanctuary Church in Newfoundland, about 20 miles from Car Arms. The Bible references Christ ruling with a rod of iron, and Sean Moon believes that the rod is the AR-15, which is not made from iron. It says made from steel, which is a ferrous metal. Yes.
Iron is the base metal.
Yes, it is.
And then it's added, I guess, carbonization.
Yes. But anyway, Philadelphia Inquirer is very liberal, so they had to get that dig in. His reading of the book of Revelation and the rod of iron makes sense to me, said Justin Moon, a church member. Next to his office is the Tommy Gun Warehouse, his retail store, where many of his brother's followers came shopping before the marriage blessing. Moon stood in front of a wall of AR-15s, only a few of which bore the Greeley stamp. But soon, when the adjoining manufacturing plant is fully fired up, Moon said he'll roll out a Thompson AR-15 priced just under $700 in larger numbers. He currently employs 25 people in the office, store, and web shop. I'm going to make a standard AR-15 with my brand on it, he said. The AR-15 is the most popular rifle in America. It's the most common rifle in America. The NRA estimates that 8 million Americans own an AR-15. It has also been used in 5 of the 6 deadliest mass shootings in the nation in the last 6 years, most recently in the Parkland, Florida massacre. Moon said he follows state and federal firearms laws but does not support age restrictions, limitations on specific guns, or even bans on the bump stock, an attachment that uses a semi-automatic rifle's recoil to fire even faster, the reason why Stephen Paddock was able to kill so many people in Las Vegas last year. In fact, Moon believes the Founding Fathers intended the Second Amendment to evolve with the times, that citizens should be allowed to own any firearms they can literally carry in order to match the government's firepower. We should have the right to have the same arms the military has as soldiers, he said. Moon donates to candidates, organizations, and causes countrywide that support the Second Amendment, and his politics have no middle ground. It's no secret. I support the Republican Party. I'm a conservative. I'm not a liberal. Never pretended to be, he said. I would be one of the deplorables, clinging to gods and guns. That fits me pretty well. A Hillary Clinton bobblehead dressed in prison garb sits on a shelf in a Car Arms meeting room next to a bobblehead of the man to whom she lost. Moon, a married father of 7, came to the United States from South Korea when he was 3, and although he embraces his heritage, the American dream is dearer to him. America is the greatest and freest nation on earth, and I hope it stays that way because I want my kids to grow up in a free nation with opportunity, he said. Koreans do well in America because they work hard and take advantage of opportunities. They don't go on welfare. Moon's hatred of communism and socialism have direct roots in North Korea, where his father was imprisoned in a labor camp for 5 years.
Wow, so there,
5 years, actually it was 2 years and 8 months, but anyway, okay, we can round it up to 5 years. Accused of being a spy for the South Korean government. Socialism is basically making the whole country a prison, he said. In a prison, everyone is equal. They get the same cell, same food. They get the same health care, and only the government employees have guns.
Wow, that's a great statement. You see
Yes,
that? That's a great
some
statement.
good quotes here. Yeah.
That's a
Sun
good
Myung Moon later became a self-professed messiah and started the Unification Church in 1954. Though it has been called a cult by its detractors, it considers Sean Moon's church a breakaway group. And Unification Church officials said last month that firearms play no part in its doctrine. While in Miami's MBA program, Justin Moon drew up plans for a small, powerful pistol that became the Car K9. The prototype was an instant hit, Moon said, and he started producing the guns in 1995. According to a 2011 New York Daily News article, Carr sold 5,000 K9s to the New York Police Department for off-duty use, though it later ordered its officers to stop carrying the gun because the trigger was too light. Pennsylvania is home to dozens of gun manufacturers, some of which make just a handful of guns, according to Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives statistics. One Northumberland County manufacturer specializing in smaller rifles made for younger shooters sold just over 49,000 firearms in 2016. Moon has purchased several other manufacturers over the years, combining many of them into the parent company Salo Inc. ATF statistics show Salo produced 40,274 pistols and 9,086 rifles in 2016. Those guns were made in Minnesota and Massachusetts, but production of AR-15s will soon ramp up in Greeley. They sell a lot and they manufacture a lot, said Edwin Graggart, a member of the Delaware Valley Democratic Club, which protested the Sanctuary Church's week-long festival last month. Graggart lives in Milford, 14 miles from the Tommy gun warehouse, and he happens to have a master's degree and PhD in Korean and Japanese history. He knows the Moons well. He said he believes Sean Moon's doctrine is dangerous and frets that his brother will be manufacturing AR-15s here in the Poconos. This glorification of assault rifles has no place here, Graggart said. These weapons are designed to shoot people. Well, after Moon returned to his office, two women shuffled past rows of handguns and glass cases in the Tommy gun warehouse, stopping to grip models an employee recommended for personal protection. The women were surprised at how light some were described one as sexy. They lived together in the Poconos, and in the wake of recent nor'easters and subsequent power outages, they were troubled by reports of break-ins. One of the large TVs on a store wall was set to InfoWars, a right-wing media outlet that peddles conspiracy theories. We live alone in the woods, Eve Asensio, 62, said. There's no one around, and it would take police 30 minutes to respond to something. Outside, Justin Moon's modified Jeep sat in these snow flurries, complete with a rooftop tent, propane tank, and spine board, capable of barreling through any zombie apocalypse or whatever else he thinks is coming. Sean Moon has a Jeep just like it.
That's the wrong Jeep. What's that?
That's not a Jeep. That's not the Jeep.
What are they talking about?
The Tommy gun warehouse. They don't. That's a pickup truck. Yeah, that's
not even a Jeep.
Well, that's a photograph of the warehouse.
Of the warehouse.
Yeah. Okay, they don't have a photograph of the Jeep. Yeah. So anyway, that's the.
Was that the end of the article?
That's the end of the article.
I was having too much fun. Yeah. That was fantastic.
0 comments. You want to put in a comment?
What a great article. That was a fantastic article. And of course, despite the leftist jabs that they always want, little spikes they want to put in.
Well, they have to have fun too.
That was a good article.
Yes, it is. Yeah, some good quotes.
Good quotes. That's a fantastic article. That was a great article. Thank you for that, Tim. That was a wonderful report. Let's now go to Dan Bongino from Rod of Iron for our Rod of Iron News section and NRA TV. That is where we cover NRA and GOA. Hillary trashes Middle America again. Let's look at Dan Bongino.
By the way, I love the way she refers to the United States. She goes, those coasts? Yeah, we've seen those, by the way. What coasts? Like out in California and New York? By the way, those are relatively small pockets of the United States, right? She goes, those coasts? Yeah, we did well there. The people who produce 2/3 of the GDP. So basically the rich elite she claims to be against. Yeah, we did great there. We did awesome. But that red stuff in the middle? Yeah, like what we call the entire continental United States, Hills. Yeah, I didn't do so well there. So last time I checked, we had an electoral college process where you get 270 presidential electors to vote for you and you win the presidency. I didn't know there was a GDP-based equation to do that. Apparently Hills, who can't seem to give this thing up, is still convinced that she can somehow salvage a reputation. Now listen, and I mean this. This isn't a joke. I know sometimes I can be sarcastic on the show, but I lost to a really good guy in a congressional race. He's a nice guy. He's actually running for president now. I would never vote for him. We share significant ideological differences, but I always respected the guy, and he was always very respectful of me when I left off the stage. It's time for Hillary to let this go. Let Donald Trump be the president of the United States. Let him do what presidents do, which is govern the country. When election time comes around in a year and a half, you want to go out there, you want to campaign for Democrats. I get it. I understand that. That's your thing. Do your thing. We live in a great country that's very ideologically diverse. You're free to fight for our causes. For your causes, we'll fight for ours. But as of now, please step aside. The excuses aren't helping. You're not helping your party. You're not helping anyone. And doubling down on the whole deplorable meme and how all of us are so stupid, and to use her words, backwards, is really just, it's not like a backhand. It's like a backhand and a forehand and then a Muay Thai elbow across the face. One more point on this before I move on to our second story here. Folks, the places she won are largely failing. And I say that with, listen, I'm for all Americans in coasts, in liberal states. The fact that we have different political views, I don't wish, there's no shouting fraud and failure here, okay? But New York and California, the fact that you won them is probably not something you want to celebrate in conjunction with announcing that you lost everywhere else. These are places that are largely bankrupt, that have engaged in a series of liberal policies over decades that have destroyed these states. Whether it's their open borders, generous welfare states where they don't have the money, government pension programs they can't afford, confiscatory taxation that's caused a mass exodus out of these states. Celebrating the fact that you won places that are largely failing in their governance model is probably not a marker for success. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. All right, now for my favorite segment of the show, for those of you regular viewers, today's liberals versus liberals. I love this because it's just so easy. Every day, just go to Twitter. Every day you will find liberals debating themselves on issues of the day. They're great at this. We got some knuckleheads on our side, I guess, as well once in a while, but it's not as systemic as it is on the left. It's not even close. We have isolated pockets of knuckleheads. Liberals are just dominated by knuckleheads. They debate themselves all the time. What's the issue du jour for liberals versus liberals today? This one's funny because this is again, sometimes I'll pick like Obama and he'll say something that contradicts Nancy Pelosi. Those are always great liberal versus liberal debates. But in today's case, this is the same person debating the same person twice. First, let's put up Nancy Pelosi's tweet about Rex Tillerson. Now, for those of you who missed it, these are statements Nancy Pelosi issued when Rex Tillerson, the now soon-to-be departed Secretary of State, was hired. Well, when Rex Tillerson was hired, as you can see from that statement, Nancy Pelosi, this is big trouble. Tillerson, another pawn for the Russians. The Russians are coming. She was she thought she was the Paul Revere of her time on the Russians. So let's just get this straight, Nance. Tillerson was a terrible hire because he was some kind of pawn of the Russians. That's your statement, folks. Read it yourself. It's up there on the screen. I can see it on my prompter. Now let's see what Nancy had to say today about Rex Tillerson being fired by Donald Trump. Here's statement number 2 in Liberals versus Liberals, Nancy blaming herself. So just so we're clear, Nancy Pelosi's first statement was, Tillerson, no good, a pawn of the Russians. Now, she's claiming Tillerson's fired because Trump's in the pocket of the Russians, and Tillerson had made some kind of a statement on the poisoning in the UK, and the firing was Tillerson is more evidence that Trump is in the pocket of the Russians. But, what is it? Can you make a decision? What is hiring Tillerson evidence that Trump is a Russian spy, or is firing Tillerson evidence that Trump is a Russian spy? Which one? Both of those things clearly cannot be true. But as I told you, every single day you give me a topic, I will show you how liberals debate themselves on the same thing. Now, in case you think this is an isolated example of liberal ignorance in the great Twitter sphere ecosystem out there, Let's pick a so-called journalist out there. This is our buddy Kurt Eichenwald of tentacle porn fame. Google it. It's a family-friendly show, so I can't say anymore, but you'll get a kick out of that. Same thing with Kurt Eichenwald. The hiring of Tillerson. There we go. This is more evidence of this big Russian saga there, this big spy ring. This is the worst thing ever. Trump, Russia, Tillerson, they're all in it together. Now Tillerson gets let go today by President Trump. And you think Eichenwald would say, oh, great. Look, we're getting rid of some of those Russian connections, but look what we have now. Now all of a sudden it's the firing of Tillerson. That is more evidence that Trump is in the pocket of the Russians. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't win with these people. They debate themselves. They have a set of mobile principles, which means they don't have a set of principles at all. As a friend of mine at WMAL, Chris Plant, a radio host, says often, if it weren't for double standards, liberals would have no standards at all. They make it very, very easy. Finally, before I go to our guest for the day, I'm really excited to have, I just want to play this one clip of audio because this goes to show you where we've gotten. This is Texas where this happened, by the way, folks. Texas. I'm from Florida, New York, and Maryland. I live in Florida now, but damn, I love Texas. I go out there a lot. That's where NRA TV is headquartered. You guys are pretty badass out there, and ladies. So God bless Texas. Now, this guy's running for Senate, Beto O'Rourke. You've probably heard of him. He's running against a great conservative senator, Ted Cruz. But here's how Beto feels about the NRA.
I have no idea how that polls. And I could give a shit what the NRA thinks about it because it's the right thing to do. And I've got 3 kids of my own. And I'm concerned about your 46 grandkids. So let's...
Well, Beto, listen, man, I get it. And I'm not going to say or repeat those. I'm trying to keep this family friendly, even though I kind of lose my own once in a while on the show. But it's not about what you think. The Second Amendment was written precisely to prevent your opinion from altering the big R rights, the self-protection rights granted to people by that Constitution. Shall not be infringed doesn't mean, please give us your opinion on how you should infringe. That's not what, I don't know how you mistake those things. But another thing on this. This is Texas. There are a whole lot of NRA members. And the NRA power does not come from the organization. They'll be the first to tell you that. The NRA's power comes from the members. And you may not give a whatever, fill in the blank there, you heard what he said, about what the NRA thinks. But I assure you, the 5 million members give a damn, and they give a really big damn about their big R rights. So Beto, I strongly suggest you reconsider your position on that. It doesn't matter. You're going to get smoked anyway. But statements like that certainly aren't going to help. All right, I'm excited about our guest today. Let's bring in Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin, the Executive Vice President of Family Research Council. And I really, I mean this. I'm honored to consider a friend. General, I really appreciate you coming on today. You're the man. Thanks a lot.
Hey, Dan, I'm so glad to be with you.
I've been seeing you a lot in the media. Obviously, your expertise being sought after, given a lot of the stress points geopolitically going on. So let's get right into it. The firing today of Tillerson. You and I have been vocal advocates of scrapping this Iran deal as it stands now. I don't want to speak for you, but from my end, I think it's a disastrous deal on ballistic missiles. It presents a pathway, an actual pathway for them to develop these missiles through a lot of these sunset provisions. And I think it was pretty clear that former Secretary of State, now Rex Tillerson, thought that this deal could be saved. What do you see with the firing and now with Mike Pompeo? You think we got a better shot of scrapping this disaster?
Yeah, I think the only problem with today's firing of Rex Tillerson was it's about 14 months too late. Look, I'm at the Family Research Council. We were openly against Rex Tillerson as Secretary of State because it was obvious to us that he was not a leader and he was also not aligned with Donald Trump, particularly on this Iran deal. So what I think is that you're going to see a much more advocacy for the Trump agenda here, which is to repeal this deal altogether. You said a couple of things about this deal, but one of the things that people, I think, don't even realize is the Iranians were violating this before it was even signed. And they were flaunting the fact that they were not going to be bound by it. And the administration of Barack Obama seemed not to care about that. Now we've got Mike Pompeo, a guy that is going to stand with the president and be a strong advocate for repealing this deal and getting our allies from Europe especially to reimpose sanctions.
Yeah, this deal was a disaster. I think the Iranians saw it from the start as a way to build time into their nuclear program. They probably followed a bit of the North Korean model, you know, buy time, feign interest in a deal, build out your program, General, and then one day, poof, you know, look, you're a nuclear power. And, you know, a mutual friend of ours, George Rasley, I read a piece a while back at Conservative HQ, and he had a really great point in it. He said one of the lessons that a lot of our foreign adversaries learned from the Gulf War was never, ever go to war with the United States without nuclear weapons. Because candidly, we'll whoop your ass. It'll be fast. It won't be pretty. And you have absolutely no chance of winning. And I think the Iranians have tactically gotten savvy to that in a deranged kind of way.
No, I totally agree with you. Look, the Iranians, as I said, have been flaunting the fact that they have no intention of abiding by this. But it is important for Americans to understand that a nuclear-armed Iran is probably even more dangerous than a nuclear-armed North Korea. And the reason is because they certainly will prompt an arms race in the Persian Gulf region, and the next people who will have nuclear arms there are probably the Saudis.
Yeah, General, one more thing I wanted to get into here. I do want to get to the North Koreans, so let me say two more things. But one more story I was fascinated by today is a piece at CNBC about the technological edge of the military and the development of a lot of weapons, both overseas in China and some stuff we're obviously working on here. I'm sure a lot of it's classified, but a couple of the things they hit on, the development of lasers to take down drones on the battlefield, the development of hypersonic weapons, hypersonic aircraft. And my question to you is with the Chinese and listen, it's a command and control economy with severe limitations because they practice socialism rather than capitalism, but they still have resources. Are we in any danger if we don't start to reprioritize our military of the Chinese in a decade or two, possibly overtaking us in the technological arena?
Yes, one of the things that occurred during the Obama administration was we really foreclosed on our future in the military by the deep budget cuts as well as the sequestration cuts. We really foreclosed on being able to invest in technology. Now, we are starting to get back into technology, and McDonnell Douglas, I think, is the prime mover on this hypersonic aircraft and the laser technology as well as the artificial intelligence. But we're late. We're late coming to this because of the deep cuts that were made by the Obama administration. And by the way, the Congress did, both sides, neither Republican nor Democrat, seemed to have the courage to stand up and put a stop to this. Trump has a real challenge now to restore military readiness by trying to get a larger budget, but trying to invest in the right way and making the right priorities. What do we invest in now? Is it this kind of supersonic or hypersonic aircraft, or do we get missile defense, which would really lead you more towards the laser technology? We can't afford it all at this point, and that's one of the challenges that the Trump administration has.
Well, General, these are existential threats for us. I mean, we've based our entire national security posture on, at least when it comes to the seas, on control of the seas through aircraft carriers. The Chinese make a technological leap into carrier killer type missiles. I mean, and not that they've neutralized the platform altogether, but that technological leap has rendered some of our technology obsolete. And really kind of destroys our readiness posture, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but I'm not as sure that they are as far along as they may claim to be. But the good news is America can have at least equal, if not superior technology. We just have to invest the money in it. That's where the Congress and the president come in. They have to make a decision what their priorities are. Sadly, The Democrats especially have never been very concerned about military readiness. They haven't done the right things. There are some exceptions, and there are some Democrats that have tried to do the right thing. But generally speaking, the Democrats have not been big advocates of military spending, of military technology that would give us a strategic advantage. And I think that again, is one of Trump's challenges now, is convincing enough people in the Congress that we need to make major investments now, and they're going to have to take that money from somewhere. You can't just keep raising the debt ceiling. They're going to have to take it from somewhere, but they've got to recognize that we have serious threats. They are, as you said, existential threats. Iran, North Korea, China, Russia, these are existential threats. That means they can literally destroy us, maybe not today, but in the near future, we're going to have existential threats on both sides of us, that being North Korea as well as Iran, when they get nuclear weapons.
General, one more thing. I'm sorry, you're just a fascinating guest on this topic. You being one of the original members of Delta Force, I mean, quite literally having evolved in the military with the special forces themselves, do you see us moving more from, and forgive me not being, having been in the military myself, but more towards a special forces kind of small team tactical approach to counterterrorism rather than these fighting two land wars type approaches we have now? Obviously, we're always going to have to keep that for the potential for China, God forbid, a global war with China. I don't think that's likely, but I get that. But given the growth in terrorism and the basing of terrorism with state actors housing these people, you being a member of the special forces, do you see the military in the future prioritizing that model even more? Rangers, Delta, SEALs, reconnaissance teams, our Air Force paratroopers and things like that.
Yeah, that paradigm shifted after 9/11, and special forces became sort of the flavor of the month, and they've almost been broken. Now, there's been some relief since we got out of Iraq. For the most part, we got out of Iraq. There's been some relief, but we almost broke them. And yes, I do see what you're saying, and I fear it. And I fear it because there are some things that special forces, special operations forces should not do. It's not their job. And the idea that we can use them because they're cheap, because they're small, because they have a small footprint, they're logistically easy to support, that frightens me, because what we're going to do is we're going to get a lot of them killed, and we're going to overuse them. We're going to break the force. What we are seeing now, I think, emerging is two extremes. We see the extreme of very low-level, small operations by special forces, and then we leap almost past tank battles and maneuver warfare all the way up to strategic defense. We have to have the missiles to be able to defend our own borders, but also to be able to take out our adversaries' major installations and his weapons as well. And the tank battles of the past, the World War II, even the Vietnam kind of stuff, I see that as being probably the least likely scenario.
Yeah, but it's just so many threats from so many different regions right now. One final exit question for you. North Korea, is Kim a rational actor? I know this is the big question in policy centers, but I'd love your opinion. Obviously, he's deranged. He's obviously a homicidal maniac. I believe he killed a member of his family with an anti-aircraft weapon. But is he a rational actor?
He's probably more rational than most people think, and he's killed multiple members of his family. The last one was his brother, Kim Jong-nam, in the Kuala Lumpur airport. He killed him with VX, which is a chemical. But that said, let me tell you what I think, and your listeners, your viewers can write you and tell you that I'm nuts. I don't think he ever believed that Donald Trump would meet him. So I think he sent that message to Trump, not thinking that Trump would ever agree to it. Now, that said, he's now boxed himself in. And I think that he's going to make a huge mistake, because he's going to get into this. If these talks ever actually occur, there'll be some surprises and some false starts, I think. But if they do occur, I think he's going to get into this meeting with President Trump And he's going to find out that he's totally underestimated our president. Because, first of all, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Trump's way of handling this. And he's shown strength. And God bless him. He has done a great job of bringing Kim to this point. But I think Kim has yet to understand or figure out just how tough Donald Trump can be. He didn't get to be a multi-billionaire by being willing to give away the farm. And he's not going to do it this time. And there is going to be something positive, I think, that comes out of these talks. And I hope that it's total disarmament or denuclearization of the Kim regime.
And there you go. That's Dan Bongino with Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin, retired U.S. Army Delta Force. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back after this with more news. Stay with us.
revolution somehow. And love explode and bring the dead to life. A love so bold to bring a revolution somehow. Now I'm lost in your freedom. And this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. Roaring like a lion. Let hope arise and make the darkness hide. My faith is dead, I need a resurrection somehow. No, I'm lost in your freedom. And this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. He's roaring. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report. Thursday, March 15th, 2018. It is now 6:35 a.m. Let's go to Tim, the Asian elder, for an important report. Tim.
Okay, a man who claimed he cremated Natalie Holloway was killed while attempting to kidnap someone, police say. Authorities in southwestern Florida say Wednesday that a man who claimed he disposed of missing teenager Natalie Holloway's remains in Aruba was fatally stabbed by a woman he was trying to kidnap.
Wow.
Police in Northport, approximately 60 miles south of Tampa, said 32-year-old John Christopher Ludwig was pronounced dead at a local hospital after 7 a.m. Investigators say Ludwig attacked the unidentified woman in her driveway and was stabbed in the ensuing struggle.
Amazing. Great job with the lady.
Authorities said Ludwig and his would-be victim knew each other but declined to elaborate. And the rest of the story is about how, his involvement with the Natalie Holloway situation. But anyway, so he arrived at the hospital at 7 a.m., so I guess, something like 6 a.m. or something like that. Woman was going to her car, and because this took place in the driveway, so she was going to her car. This guy apparently tried to carjack or tried to kidnap her at that time, and she took out a knife, stabbed him, and killed him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that is amazing.
Did they reveal where he got stabbed?
No, they don't have any more details about the situation. Perhaps ASP will take this up later on.
Yeah, if they have a video of it, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know if she has. I don't know if they have a video of it. Yeah, that would be good to see where she stabbed him, whether it was in the leg or whatever, or in the chest, where it was that he. But there's a picture of this guy, and he's he's a pretty strong guy. Like he says in the article, it says he's 32 years old, and he doesn't look like a weakling to me. Yeah.
Well, that's why it's so important that, you know, the good citizens are practicing force multiplication and the discipline of the study of the use of force.
Yes.
Because when a imminent threat and lethal threat arrives, you may be called to dispatch that threat. And thank goodness that lady was able to come out alive. She could have been dead, but she was able to have her wits. Thank goodness she was carrying a knife, you see?
Yes.
She had the wherewithal and she had the, you know, proper amygdala function and brain function to have a knife on her person, especially if she felt her life was threatened. I'm sure she did. I'm sure if they knew each other, there's potentially some back and forths going on. And so she may have had key indicators that indicated to her that a threat may be imminent or possible. And so very good job that she protected herself, that she was had the tools to protect herself right there. And then, of course, be able to get rid of that threat when he was trying to illegally kidnap her. So she did the right thing, acting in self-defense and putting down that attacker who, of course, was trying to kidnap that young lady. So that's fantastic. That's really nice to see. Tech team, cue that video with the young lady we showed during current service that was 그 여자 있잖아, 보여 그 숨기는 여자. Okay.
The lady with a concealed carry.
Yes, the concealed carry lady.
Yeah.
She's a white ninja.
Yeah, tight miniskirt, concealed carry.
Okay, no, don't give it away. Don't give it away.
Okay.
You gave it away already. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now,
well, they have to
as
see
tech
it,
team is preparing that, let's go to this active self-protection lesson. Family needs a plan against home invaders. Let's play this video first.
Effective strategy against robbers. It doesn't always work, and we see that here. Want to take your knowledge beyond the narrated videos? Join us on Active Self-Protection Extra and subscribe for multiple videos every week to help you get better in your defensive skills. Hi everyone, this is John with today's Active Self-Protection lesson out of South Africa. Here we are going to see a family who is targeted for the television in their home. And we're going to learn important lessons about the dangers of compliance and its limitations, about getting out of the danger zone as fast as we can, and we're just going to look at how evil people can be. What we're first going to see here is mom and a little girl come into screen. What had happened, dad heard a noise outside the house, went out to investigate and left the door open. Then mom runs away because we see this guy come in here and he has a gun in his hand, takes 3 shots at mom and the little girl. Now again, go read the news story, you'll hear they went out the window in a back bedroom, jumped the fence. Mom actually broke her leg jumping that fence. This guy wants the television, and when dad comes back in the house, sees that first guy, the first guy shoots him, and again, the news story says he shot him in the head. But thankfully, dad wasn't killed by that. I don't know what he was shot by or if it ricocheted off or whatever, but he's still obviously able to, function pretty well. So now we can see that there is not just one home invader here, but 2 armed home invaders. And really, they're trying to pull the TV off the wall is their big thing. News story said that they took at least 3 shots at mom, 1 at dad. I don't think they took another one at him. And they finally get the TV off the wall and they run off and this one's over. Let's go back and think about some significant lessons out of this one. First of all, I do want you to think about having a safe room in your house and what you would do with your children. This mom here has her little one to think about. You don't just have yourself to think about when you have small children, but how to secure your kids and keep them out of the danger zone. Mom did a good job of that here, grabbing her daughter up and going. Now, this is how home invasions go down. And just because they've run off doesn't mean that they're out of the danger zone. You want to get out of the danger zone as fast as you can because this guy comes over and wings at least 3 shots is what the news story said after mom and the little girl for absolutely no reason whatsoever other than he just wanted to scare him or kill him. That's how evil people can be. This is what we see, just the true evil in people. Now, it's going to get even worse as this guy's going to come here and again, he's shooting at people over a television. And when dad decides to come in the house here, we're going to see the true evil of people, that he just walks in and all of a sudden the guy just shoots at him out of the blue with absolutely no provocation or anything like that. which, again, if there's a potential home invasion in your world, you want to be equipped with the attitude, the skills, and the plan to deal with it, which is why I say that you need to have a home defense firearm, if at all possible, know how to use it, know how to effectively clear your house. In this case, doesn't look like dad or mom had a whole lot of attitude, skills, and plan, though mom did a good job of getting out of the danger zone. Now, again, this guy's complying here, but it doesn't do him any good. He's already been shot in the head. Thankfully, he has the emotional fitness to not just completely pass out and to keep his wits about him to get out of the danger zone himself, and they let him out of there. And again, over what? Over a television. All they're going to get here is what looks to me now like a broken television, as he's going to crack and break the screen trying to get it off the wall. So this is the kind of thing that happens. So these kind of home invasions are thankfully not all that common, but they're not completely uncommon as well, which is why I say you got to plan for your family. You got to know how to get out of the danger zone. Make a safe room in the house if at all possible, if you don't have the ability to get out like these folks did. And have your attitude, your skills, and your plan, your tools on you so that you're not at the whim of a home invader, but instead you can cover your ass.
And that is the point right there. Have your tools on you at home. At home. You understand? Tools on you at home. So this is a key point that a lot of armed citizens forget. You have to have your tools on you at home. Because home invasions happen. And depending where you live in the world, there are higher percentages in different countries. Lower percentages here, but they still happen about 12.7 to 12.9% of the time when people are at home. Now, if they attacker believe you're not at home, then it's possible they can enter in. So it's important to have the discipline if you're having the rod of iron training and the way of the rod of iron as a rod of iron martial artist, to have your rod of iron on you even in your home. Okay? Because you never know when some evil people will try to seek to break in and do you harm. Absolutely critical training for people in God's kingdom. So there you go in that active self-protection lesson. Let's go to another story right here with video about a lady who had to fight off 3 attackers who, again, invaded her home. But the result was different. You'll see why.
18-year-old Sarah McKinley killed a man, she says, to protect her 3-month-old baby.
Are they bleeding?
Yes, I believe one's down, one's still talking. You need to get here now.
All of a sudden, 3 burglars shatter a glass door.
No, turn my house right now.
The man remains on the phone with dispatch while he retrieves his shotgun. Seconds later, the homeowner opens fire.
Sir, the shots fired?
Yes.
Tell me what is happening, sir.
I killed one, I think.
The intruder, now identified as 21-year-old Albert Jones, is dead.
Was anyone shot?
Yes, 2 of them.
Are they bleeding?
Yes, I believe one's down, one's still talking. You need to get here now. I shot 2 of them. Now I'm barricaded in my bedroom.
What did you shoot them with?
An AR-15.
We're going to turn now to the young mom in Oklahoma who aimed her gun at an intruder while she was on the phone with 911. 18-year-old Sarah McKinley says the operator told her she couldn't shoot until the man broke into her home, and the stunning moments that followed were all caught on tape. ABC's Ryan Owens has the story.
I wouldn't have done it, but it was my son. I'd protect him.
This young mother takes maternal instinct to a whole new level.
I walked over and got the 12 gauge, went in the bedroom and got the pistol and put the bottle in his mouth, and then I called 911.
18-year-old Sarah McKinley killed a man, she says, to protect her 3-month-old baby.
I'm here by myself with my infant baby. Can I please get a dispatcher out here immediately?
Late on New Year's Eve, police say 2 men, one armed with a 12-inch hunting knife, were trying to break into her home outside Oklahoma City. McKinley recognized one of them as someone she thought was stalking her.
He was from door to door trying to bust in. They said I couldn't shoot him until I come in the door.
Are your doors locked? Yes, I've got 2 guns in my hand. Is it okay to shoot him if he comes in the store?
I can't tell you that you can do that, but you do what you have to do to protect your baby.
The teen mother killed the 24-year-old intruder the second he stepped inside. Police call the shooting justified.
You're allowed to shoot an unauthorized person that is in your home. The law provides you the remedy and sanctions the use of deadly force.
The second intruder turned himself in.
Stupid idiots.
McKinley was home alone that night because her husband just died of cancer on Christmas Day. While her son may grow up without his father, this is one little boy who will always know Mom will do anything to protect him.
I knew that I was going to have to choose him or my son, and it wasn't going to be my son, so I did what I had to do.
Good job,
There's nothing
Mama.
more dangerous than a mother with her child.
Good job.
Phoenix 911, where is the emergency? Hello, 911?
Hey, please, somebody's trying to get my house.
What are they doing?
They tried my front door and my side door, and now they're trying to break in my back gate.
Okay, stay on the line with me. I've already got off the started. Do not hang up, okay?
All right, I have a gun in my hand. I'm terrified.
Okay. I've got officers already on the way. I'm going to keep you on the phone until the officers get there, okay? You said that they're trying the back gate now?
I think they're in the back now.
Okay, so first the front
Somebody's
door.
in the back and on my porch.
Someone's on your porch?
Please hurry, please.
Ma'am, they're coming out there as fast as they can. Can you see anybody? I'm not asking you to look, but did you see anyone? Like, are there any open
No,
windows?
somebody's banging on my Arcadia door.
Okay, are you expecting anybody?
No.
Okay.
There's no vehicles out front of my driveway. Now somebody's walking around on my back porch.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to keep you on the phone until the officers get there, okay? Do not hang up. Yeah, I've got a lot of officers coming out there.
It just broken.
It just broke?
Yeah, they broke my Arcadia door.
Okay, yeah, I've got it coming out there. They're coming out as fast as they can.
Fast as they can is
Have you
always
heard any
not fast
voices?
enough.
No, they're coming in right now.
Okay, tell me if you see them. Tell me what they look like, how many of them are, whether they're men, women.
I just saw one.
Just saw one? Okay, did you see a person, or did you see like the shadow of a person?
Christine, Green, hurry. They're coming in right now, please, please, please.
Yeah, they're coming out as fast as they can. I promise you, they're coming out there as fast as they can. I've got a lot of officers responding. And as everything you're telling me, I'm typing, and the dispatcher's giving it to them immediately. They're getting all this information.
They're breaking out my window.
Are you in your bedroom, or?
I'm in my bathroom.
Okay, yeah, they're coming out as fast as they can. I've got a lot of officers responding. Is there an alley behind your house?
Yes.
You back up to the canal, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you don't need to answer anything. I'm gonna stay on the line with you, okay?
What was that? What was that? What was that? What did you do?
What happened?
What did you do? Okay. Did you do? You just beat me up and shit there? Sorry. What did you tell me my last for? Oh, no. I shot him.
You shot him?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, I've got everybody coming out for help, okay?
Please hurry. Don't get up or I'll shoot your ass again.
Okay, where did you shoot him? Ma'am, where did you shoot him at?
In my house, he's in my bathroom.
No, where in his body? Where in his body did you shoot him?
What?
Where in his body?
He's laying half in my bathroom and half in the hallway. Where in the body?
No, yeah, like, did you hit him?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay, do you recognize him? Is he somebody?
No, I don't recognize him.
Okay, so he came into the bathroom where you were?
He got what he deserved. Fire from the rod of iron.
I said that move.
That's what you bozos get for trying to break into innocent people's homes.
What is he saying?
Golly.
So he thought the house was abandoned. abandoned house with a car and locked gates and, yeah. He said before you knocked, you banged, you tried to get indoors. I heard you out there. Because why should I unlock the door? And you're rattling and beating on everything and trying to climb my fence. I'm not even going to talk to you.
Yeah, there's no need to. The officers give me their few. I've got just about every officer on that part of town is responding out there, okay?
There's real
Please
time.
get somebody here.
Yeah, they're coming out as fast as they can. Are you hurt at all?
I don't know. My face is bleeding. I'm bleeding from some places. I don't know where else. I don't know. He was beating on me.
He was hitting you?
He was beating on me when he found out I was in here. That's why I dropped the phone and I almost dropped the gun. I ended up shooting.
Okay.
Good job, lady. She said she almost dropped it because he started beating her up.
They're arriving in the area now, okay?
Yeah.
When you hear them at the door, you're gonna have to.
I'm not gonna walk off the top of the sky.
No. I'm not gonna want you to leave the bathroom. Yeah, I'm gonna have them come to you, but you're gonna need to put the gun down, not near you.
I will.
Okay.
I'm here.
I'm gonna wait till you see the officers before I disconnect, okay? I'm showing they are there. They should be coming inside.
Oh, okay. Come on back. I put the gun down.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go now. Okay. Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
He shot and killed 3 suspects who broke into his father's home to rob it. The intruders, who were dressed in black, they were carrying a knife and brass knuckles. They were between the ages of 16 and 18. Now, the young man killed them with an AR-15. The getaway driver fled the scene and later turned herself into police. She now faces 3 counts of first-degree murder and 3 counts of first-degree burglary. With me now, former U.S. Army Special Forces Sergeant Jim Hansen. Sergeant, anti-gun groups are against citizens having guns like this AR-15. But it looks like this gun saved this guy's life, right?
In that case, it worked exactly the way our Constitution hoped it would. You know, in a situation like that, you have to decide, are you going to be the person pleading for your life and potentially bleeding out on the ground, or do you want to be the person on the phone explaining to the police, I feared for my life and the life of my family, and therefore I shot the bad guys? I know which choice I've made.
Did this young man do the right thing in this situation?
Absolutely. The people who made the wrong choice were the ones who forgot to figure out that the Constitution guarantees our right to keep and bear arms. This person legally, exercised that right, and those folks made a horrible decision. Hopefully that will deter other people who think you can just scream into somebody's house, terrorize them, and not face any consequences.
Could he have just shot them in the legs instead and not killed them?
No, that's a Hollywood fantasy. If you pick up a gun and you feel your life is in jeopardy, you should be trying to use that weapon to make sure you neutralize the threat.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, folks, there it is. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us.
사람들에게는 만사의 형통할 수 있는
And the kingdom of God and his citizens are kings and queens that stand with the king of kings and his kingship, that rule with the rod of iron in peace, justice, and mercy. Citizens are ours.
Now, the Rod of Iron Ministries, which is another offshoot of this church.
This is a satanic antichrist devil. These are not real Christians.
Values. This is a cult.
We're very much opposed to it.
Disgusting. We don't worship government. We worship God.
How many of you feel safer knowing that your teacher has a gun? All of you.
We need to turn back to God.
Not to be dependent on the government.
Revelation 3:11, let no man take thy crown, hold fast what God has.
He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. Revolution somehow. And love explode and bring the dead to life. A love so bold to bring a revolution somehow. No, I'm lost in your freedom, and this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. Let hope arise and make the darkness hide. My faith is dead, I need a resurrection somehow. No, I'm lost in your freedom, and this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring like a lion. He's roaring. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive.
사람들에게는 만사의 형통할 수 있는
And the kingdom of God and his citizens are kings and queens that stand with the king of kings and his kingship, that rule with a rod of iron in peace, justice, and mercy. Citizens are ours.
Now, the Rod of Iron Ministries, which is another offshoot of this church.
This is a satanic antichrist devil. These are not real Christians.
This is a cult.
We're very much opposed to
It's
it.
disgusting.
We don't worship government, we worship God.
How many of you feel safer knowing that your teacher has a gun? All of you.
We need to turn back to God.
Not to be dependent on the government.
Revelation 3:11, let no man take thy crown, hold fast what God has.
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report, Thursday, March 15th, 2018. I'm your host, Hyung Sean Moon, the second king of Cheongguk, broadcasting live from the Cheongguk Palace studios to all the kings and queens of the kingdom of God. Let no man take thy crown. Hold fast what thou hast. Revelation 3:11. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron and break them to pieces like the potter's vessel. Let's go now to Tim for a very important report about Japan. Tim.
Well, in Japan, authorities have raided Amazon Japan for suspected antitrust violations.
Wow.
This is a Reuters article coming in just now. Amazon Japan said Thursday it had been raided by the Fair Trade Commission on suspicion of a possible antitrust violation. An Amazon Japan spokesman said it was fully cooperating with the FTC, but declined to elaborate or comment on details about the suspected violations outlined earlier in local media reports. Citing sources related to the matter, Kyodo News said Thursday the online retailer is suspected of asking suppliers to shoulder part of the cost incurred from selling their products at a discount on Amazon Japan. Reports have surfaced mentioning that the firm may have demanded suppliers pay a, quote, collaboration fee, unquote, measured as a percentage of a product's selling price. Amazon Japan has been under regulatory scrutiny before. In a previous antitrust probe, the FTC found the firm had required suppliers selling products on multiple platforms to list them on Amazon Japan at the same or lower price. Amazon Japan agreed to drop the practice, and the regulators ended the probe last June. The FTC declined to comment on the case.
Well, Trump needs to do that in America.
Yes.
He needs to start going up to Amazon. Stop giving them the big contracts with the federal government that the deep state keeps giving them. He needs to break up that monopoly. They're doing that by colluding power.
Yes. Yesterday we had a story about how Pentagon is now moving classified data onto Amazon's cloud.
Yes. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
They're totally centralizing power to Jeff Bezos. Golly, I mean, it's like the deep state is just like they're totally disobeying President Trump. And they're doing whatever the heck they want. Nice tie, by the way. I didn't see that. It's a gold tie.
It's a gold tie, yes.
Nice tie.
Thank you.
Well, I think we're matching today. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Bronze. There's a bronze one here today. The only thing that's different is the camel suit and the bullet crown. But Trump needs to go after those basket cases in Amazon. Goodness, they are such cheaters and colluders. I mean, can you a $600 million deal with the CIA and WAPO? Oh, come on. It's ridiculous. They've become a propaganda wing, military psy operation on the American population with the Washington Times of Jeff Bezos. I mean, give me a break.
Washington Post.
I'm sorry, Washington Post. I'm sorry. So now we've seen in the last clips in the Rotavirus study about what happens to you in these nations where you're, we saw the one in South Africa where the people were not armed and they got shot up. We saw the ones in America where people have the right of the rod of iron, where they were able to shoot and kill their attacker.
Yes.
Here's another active self-protection lesson from Russia. I guess, I don't know how the gun laws there are there, but obviously this young lady did not have a gun. Let's see what happens to her.
Like you see in Hollywood, they are fast and they are brutal. Hi everyone, this is John with today's active self-protection lesson out of Russia. It shows us here an attack on a woman working in an office building. We're going to learn some important lessons here about how fast attacks come, how brutal they are, but if we have attitude, skills, and plan, we can maintain our wits and get out of there to protect ourselves from harm. Let's listen into the audio at this payday loan store in Russia, and then we'll come back and learn some lessons.
She's using her legs.
She's trying to kick away, but then again, look, see that problem right there. Problem, she turned away and let him choke her. Oof. Got kicked in the face. Then he's just beating her with that stick thing that he has. I think it's some kind of taser. Then he's beating her over the head with that. Look at that. But she has a fighting spirit. She's not giving up. What a piece of trash that idiot is. See, if she had a rod of iron, she would put that sucker down real quick. So she was able to get away.
All right,
she
let's
had a
learn
fighting
some lessons
spirit.
here. Just another day at the office for this woman who's running a payday loan store here. And this guy comes in, and you notice she's not concerned with him. This is just another day at the office, right? Till he comes around, you can see right there is when she finally knows something's wrong, when he reaches out for her. You're always operating from behind when you're the victim. The armed robber, the mugger, is going to be the one to initiate the action, so you're always on defense. And you can see him there. He just pins her down and just gets her one really hard right there. And that's very difficult, folks. You're going to have to sometimes just have the emotional fitness to take that kind of punch and stay in the fight. I don't know that, she could have really defended herself in a rolling chair there. But she does stay up and after it. She used her legs pretty well there to stay out, for him being able to stomp her real good. But she's trying to get away, and I totally recognize that that's good and that's an important thing. But because of that, he's able to get behind her, and now he's going to be able to get her in a headlock, and that's probably the worst case scenario there. But I really would strongly recommend, men and women both, that you get into a place where you can fight somebody who's got you from behind like that. That kind of a rear headlock is one that does happen. You need to be able to fight through. Now, gets her off screen. We don't see that for a second. But now he's got her in a headlock where she's able to get from all the way in front of him to her being behind him, and it's more of a side headlock. Another one that you got to fight out of. And now, folks, as well, I know there's going to be a bunch of comments on this one that, you can see the fact that her skirt's ridden up or whatever. But in a fight for your life, modesty goes out the window. You got to just emotionally stay in the fight. Very difficult there where she lost some consciousness. But I love that emotionally, we're going to see this gal here. She has taken quite the beating. But once she kind of comes to from being choked like that, you're going to see her try to get back up and try to emotionally stay in the fight, and she does a pretty decent job of it once she kind of gets that back. So having
she had even a knife or she had a weapon, something to fight back with,
is important. Now she gets to a place where at least she can
pepper spray,
only got one hand on her, and she gets a little bit. She's maybe trying to negotiate with him or whatever. So she's still looking for her outs, still staying aware and still staying in the fight. May not have had the world's greatest skills, but at least she gets to a place here where she's able to break contact with him and fights tenaciously to get away. Sometimes that tenacity, just having the attitude and the will to survive, is enough. At the end of the day, this poor lady took quite a beating, but she got away before she was hurt any worse. She did okay at that, and she covered her asp.
So you saw it. You saw what happens. how fast those things happen and occur, and especially if the woman is not armed, how she can be brutalized, thrown around. She did fight hard for her life, and thank God she did, because she was able to use that at least to get away. But again, she had no force multipliers on her person. You know, it's easy to say she's going to grab a pen off the desk or grab this or that, but she was on the phone. The man walked in and just walked around and just started beating her, as you saw. So again, to have those on your person at ready access to be able to fight back on, create distance, and then flee. I mean, absolutely critical, and especially if she had a rod of iron on her, she would have put that sucker down fast. She could have probably put that down, sucker got down fast. So again, it shows you the difference when you're able to have the rod of iron, how bad guys have a much lower percentage chance of succeeding. And if you don't have the rod of iron and or different accoutrements to protect yourself, you have a much lower percentage of succeeding. Thankfully, in this case, she was able to get away, and I hope that attacker was put in prison or caught or whatever. Probably not. But again, it shows you the reality of evil. It shows you the reality of criminality, okay? We know that even in the Bible, even when the Bible talks about Christ's millennial reign, there will still be evil in this world. This is what a lot of Christians are not taught, and of course, many of them don't read their Bible. So they're not taught that even in the kingdom of heaven on earth, for the 1,000-year millennial period of Christ's reign on earth, there will still be evil. Let's bring it up right now. Revelation 20, and let's start in verse 7. And I'll show you with your own eyes, you'll be able to see from Scripture. We'll do that as a Rhema today. But let's go to Revelation 20 right there. No, we're going to start at verse 7. Let's get the whole thing up. Let's get the whole chapter up. Okay, so let's go. Yes, there we go. And let's now move to Revelation verse 7. Let's zoom in on that. Here we go. So let's go to Revelation 20 and 6. Just move up just a little bit here. Okay, stop right there. Blessed and holy is he who has part in the first resurrection. Over such the second death has no power. But they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. Okay, shall reign with him. You're not going to be sitting there on Christian welfare, on Jesus' welfare. You're not going to be sitting there like that, like how all these Christians think. You rail against conservatives all day long, and you think you're going to be a Christian welfare in the kingdom of God. You're totally nuts, and you're not reading your Bible. You're going to reign and rule. That means rule the nations with Christ. You will have a job. You will, in Matthew 19, it says clearly, he will appoint you as judges over the 12 tribes of Israel. You will have a job to do in the kingdom of God. You're not just going to be on Christian welfare. You've got to get that out of your mind. Totally unbiblical. Now look at this. Revelation 20 and 7. Let's now look at this section. Satanic rebellion crushed. Now, when the 1,000 years have expired, okay, come on, tech team. Let's highlight the places we're reading. Okay, highlight it so people can see. Now, when the 1,000 years have expired, Satan will be released from his prison, okay, and will go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. Stop right there. So you can see, Satan can still deceive people and make them, by their own free will, wage a war against who? Look at this. They went up the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city. You see that? Satan can still deceive in the millennial period because people have free will. That's why the rule of the rod of iron is the biblical rule. Because now the tables are turned. People can still choose to do evil like they have done in fallen history. But now the tables are turned because now the power of the dominion of the use of force is not in the hands of the government, which become the mob cartels, the mafia cartels, just in suits and ties. That's all. That's the only difference. But now the dominion of the use of force is in the hands of the citizens who are co-heirs with Christ, Romans 8:17. And that's the big difference between the kingdom of God and all of satanic history, is the rule of the rod of iron, where the force is decentralized and brought to the hands of the co-heirs with Christ, the citizens of the kingdom of God. It's a total reversal of satanic kingdoms, okay? And that's the kingdom we call Chanyaguk, or the kingdom of heaven on earth. Now look at this. Look at that. Satan is able to deceive from the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. He's able to gather that many people, even when Christ's reign is present on earth, folks. This is what your pastor and priests are not telling you. And there, in many of the churches, the fake state-run churches, are brainwashing you to believe that Jesus is a socialist hippie and that his kingdom will be a socialist kingdom. And all you have to do is pray and wait for his kingdom to come. Then you're going to be on Christian welfare for eternity. You're completely unbiblical and you're completely deluded. You're going to have responsibilities in the kingdom. You're not going to be on welfare in the kingdom. You'll have to work and rule with Christ as co-heirs. You'll have responsibility as a co-heir in his kingdom. And when the battle emerges, look at this, when the battle emerges of criminality and evil, of course Satan deceives. That's what all these criminals are doing. They're being deceived by Satan, deceived by power, deceived by lust, deceived by all these other evil things, evil spirits of evil, evil desires of Satan to do criminality. And look, again, even in the millennial reign, people will be deceived and can be deceived. Look at that. I'm proving to you that people can be deceived and follow Satan's will, even when Christ's kingdom is here physically on earth. What further proof do you need? They want to call us a cult because we teach out of the Bible. They want to call us a cult because we're not state-run and we don't give a socialist message, because we know the danger of socialism, because my father was in a communist North Korea, was almost killed multiple times, imprisoned in gulags, tortured for 2.5 years. We know commies very well. And that's why we have fought against communism. My true father has fought against communism his whole life. That is the legacy, to fight against centralized government, because those are always the powers, whether it be the Japanese under the Imperial Japan, South Korea, North Korea, or even the U.S. that imprisoned him for stupid made-up charges. Obviously, the U.S. government was not as bad as North Korea's government, etc. But they put him on stupid charges. They put him in prison for tax evasion because he didn't pay. They had $1,000, something like that. It was really absurd, which he could have paid like that. That's not a problem. But they wanted to make a point of him because he was growing too fast and all the Christians were against him. And look, now the Christians are in the same boat as him, because they used to have the majority. Now they're the minority. And now Christians are being persecuted as a cult. When they were in the majority, they were persecuting us as a cult. Now they're in the minority. Now they're a minority, persecuted minority. So now they're getting some empathy and starting to realize, wow, they were acting like totalitarians because they were believing in the state-run type of Christianity. But again, look, in the scripture itself, you see it. It's not going to be a kingdom where there's no evil. There still can be evil because there's free will. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He gives free will. Even in the kingdom of God, there's going to be free will. Now, because the roles are reversed, and because now all the citizens are peace police and peace militia, all the men and women of the kingdom of God are co-heirs with Christ and kings and queens, and also defenders of the kingdom. They are the police. They are a decentralized police. They are the decentralized military. They are servicemen and women. And they are trained from a young age. So now you have a different scenario, because when criminality tries to rear its ugly head, the criminals get shot. They get killed. Look at what happened in Revelation 20 and 9. They went up with the breath of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints. And look at what happened. And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. The devil who deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are. And they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. Satanic rebellion crushed. This is what the Bible prophesied will happen in the kingdom of God. That after the 100-year reign, the 1,000 years, Satan will be loosed. He will gather the people. There will be commies. There will be socialists. There will be Islamicists who will ally with him. Fascists. Those who want to believe in the centralized state power, caliphates, etc., that may ally with him and then wage war against the faithful. But their satanic rebellion will be crushed. And look at that. It will be crushed, and fire come down out of heaven and will devour them. Fire will come down. The power of fire will be harnessed. God's rule of the rod of iron, and the potentiality of the power of the rod of iron is the power of fire. And on a personal level, on a defensive level, on a personal level, that is the firearm. On the national level, that is missiles and those kind of things. Clearly, 2,000 years ago, John the Revelator was seeing these kind of things that were happening, that would be to happen. So the rod of iron is a protector. The rod of iron is the force equalizer. The rod of iron is the power by which a normal man and a woman can stop a group of intruders, a group of evil-minded people, a group that have given themselves over to Satan and criminality, to exploit other people, to steal what other people have. And that is, of course, the philosophical premise of socialism, to take by force what others have. That is the fundamental philosophy of socialism, communism, fascism, centralized government, you name it. All the same, just different degrees. All the same, just different degrees. All the same, just different degrees. The kingdom of God are the collection of states and nations that are gathered together, that are decentralized use of force. That is, all the co-heirs with Christ as kings and queens and sovereigns that are free to have rights of property, freedom from taxation, the right to bear arms, the right of kings and queens that only the elite have enjoyed in satanic history. But when God's history comes, that is switched, that's reversed. Now the normal citizen will enjoy the right of kings, freedom from taxation, private property rights, and the freedom to defend that private property or territory or kingdom with the rod of iron. We're going to have a wonderful sign that we're making now. We'll have one on the palace, we'll have one on the church, and hopefully we'll make some more so people can order them online. But it'll say, this kingdom is protected by the rod of iron. And it'll have the AR right there. So we'll have that on the different church properties, etc. But also we'll make them so that people can put them in their houses as well. And let the attackers know that if they're so stupid as to try to come in this kingdom, they're going to have to face some fire coming down from heaven. That's a good day, folks. That's a good day when the normal, non-psychopathic man and woman can live freely, can live without the burdens and the rape of taxation, without the intrusion and confiscation of private property, and they can be kings and queens in Christ Jesus on their land, in their kingdom, defending that with the rod of iron. That is the kingdom of God, because all their sweat, labor, and tears will be able to be invested into that kingdom and kingdom building. And of course, because they're not psychopathic sociopaths, they will reinvest it in their communities, in their society, to help train and to help the poor, to help those who are impoverished, even though in the kingdom of God, state welfare is illegal, but private welfare will abound. It will flourish because people, out of the goodness, because the good people will be able to flourish. And out of the goodness of the heart of good people flows the richness and abundance of God's gifts. And of course, one of them is charity. And we've seen that. Prior to the welfare state in America, America had over 10,000 charities. So you think about that. The kingdom of God, what a wonderful, beautiful picture of freedom of opportunity, freedom to start your own business without licenses, freedom to work on the visions that God has given you, freedom to own property without government confiscation, intrusion, and taxes, freedom from taxation, from income tax, property tax, inheritance tax, death tax, you name it, freedom from taxation like the kings enjoyed of the past, and the freedom to right to bear arms to protect that kingdom from enemies, domestic and foreign. What a beautiful place where good people can succeed, make prosperity, make a success. And because they are all trained in the arts of self-defense and the use of force, because all citizens are policemen and women, and because all citizens are service men and women, army men and women, even though they become prosperous, They will become less likely to fall into hedonism and pleasure seeking because they are given their life, and they may have to sacrifice that life at any time as a policeman, woman, and army men and personnel to stand up against evil wherever it raises its ugly head. So they will have the ethics of honor. They will have the principles of training to understand that they may have to give their life to protect their neighbor, to love God and love thy neighbor. They will understand that just pleasure seeking and sexual deviance is not what life is about, but has larger principles of honor and warrior code and standing up for your fellow man and being there and training hard and being good and being honorable and keeping your promises and training with your fellow citizens and loving God and loving thy neighbor and protecting the Constitution and of the kingdom of God and the nation of God and protecting the kingship of Christ. All those things will be ingrained in the society. And so, yes, of course, you will have evil people that may choose to do pleasure seeking and do things, but they will punish very quickly. Yes, you have evil people that will choose to do criminality, but they will be crushed very quickly with the power of the rod of iron that stands all around them. You imagine if that woman in Russia that we just saw the video, if she was trained and she was armed and that attacker came in, she would have something to do about it. In South Africa, where those violent men, evil men, came in and tried to shoot at the little child and the mother, that whole family would be trained, at least the parents there. The child looked very young. So the parents would be trained in how to defend their home. They would have already thought of different layers of defense around their home that they can do very affordably and cheaply. They may have planted thorny bushes around, a hedge, a protection around their house. It's a very cheap way to make a fence line that is hard to penetrate. A thorny bush, a lot of roses. You know, you have a lot of roses around your house. Beautiful to see, I'll smell the roses, but lots of thorns. So bad guys can't just run through it, you know. And you have one entranceway through that hedge of roses or, you know, other type of bushes and brambles that, you know, you may like, but they have thorns. This is a very natural gardening way, agricultural way, so to speak, of creating a perimeter around your house. Did you know that? Isn't that great? It's a very important concept, tactical concept. So you don't have to spend a lot to defend your home. Creating that kind of hedge of roses around your house. Your wife will have, you'll always have free roses. You can give them as gifts and, you know, enjoy the beautiful colors and petals. But you have those thorny roses all around your perimeter. And you have only one entranceway, which acts as a funnel for enemies have to come in that one area. So you can do things on the cheap. They don't have to be done in an expensive way. Okay? You can do things that add to the beauty of your landscape, but also play a practical deterrent function. See? You not only are incorporating beauty, but you're incorporating reality. You're incorporating the warrior mindset in your gardening design. Do you see? See how different that is? Very different, isn't it? That is the perspective that we must have as armed citizens and kings and queens of the kingdom of God that are co-heirs with Christ. We must have that type of mindset that is able to be of the warrior mindset, that is able to always be cognizant that evil can rear its ugly head at any time. The serpent reared its ugly head in the Garden of Eden, didn't it? So in the kingdom, the serpent will always try to be entering in, which is the reason why we need to create a hedge of protection. We have that from Christ in our spirit, but then we have to materialize that in the flesh as well. Remember, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God's kingdom is on earth, will be on earth, folks, on earth. This is a critical thing for us to understand as we reflect on the rod of iron. We'll be right back after the short break. Stay with us on the King's Report.
there, folks. And look at what I've got here today. My God, take a look at this. This is a BFR in 454 Casull with an octagonal barrel, magna porting, micarta grips. And look at that, it even has my initials on it, JM. Look at that thing of beauty, my God. Pop open the cartridge insertion door, and look at that cylinder spin. The finest revolvers in the world. That's a cannon. That's a cannon. Oh, man. Pretty accurate, though. That's our target. Oh boy! Massive repo.
And the kingdom of God and his citizens are kings and queens that stand with the king of kings and his kingship, that rule with the rod of iron in peace, justice, and mercy. Citizens are ours.
Now, the Rod of Iron Ministries, which is another offshoot of this church.
This is a satanic antichrist devil. These are not real Christians.
This is a cult.
We're very much opposed to
It's
this.
disgusting.
America, we don't worship government, we worship God.
How many of you feel safer knowing that your teacher has a gun? All of you.
We need to turn back to God.
Not to be dependent on the government.
Revelation 3:11, let no man take thy crown, hold fast what God has.
Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology. It's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Car Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood. The history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun. To the best in compact concealed carry. Car Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Car Firearms Group. Made in the USA. Visit car.com today.
We are back. Welcome back to the King's Report Thursday, March 15th, 2018. Let's see this next lesson in active self-protection of an armed man who surprises these guys, but thank goodness one of them was ready. Let's take a look.
Absolutely protect yourself against an armed threat. Hi everyone, this is John with today's active self-protection lesson brought to us by Lucky Gunner Ammo. Lucky Gunner has incredible selection of name brand defensive ammo and ridiculously fast shipping on bulk ammo and practice ammo. They're my go-to source and I recommend them highly. Check them out in the link in the description. Today's lesson comes to us out of, you guessed it, Brazil. And here we're going to see an off-duty officer who has the awareness, the tools on him, and the skill to absolutely wreck the day of an intended mugger. It's going to teach us important lessons about keeping our tools on us, about being aware, and about putting shots on target and being first. This one happens real fast. Our perp is in the top on the right-hand side, and you can see him pretty quick. He's going to pull a gun here. And when the motorcycle pulls up, which I think is a getaway vehicle, our intended victim draws his firearm quickly, puts shots on that guy, and sends him running. Okay, it's over that fast. Let's think about some lessons out of this one. First of all, I love that our intended victim is paying attention. You can see his head turn, that he's watching this guy while he's sitting and talking to his friends. You can actually see that that guy looks like he already has the gun in his hand. I'm not sure if it had something on it or whatever to conceal it. You know, we don't have enough resolution on the screen to really say. But our victim is paying attention. Now you see the motorcycle come in here. And I think that one is really important. I think that our intended victims recognize, oh, the getaway vehicle is here. And now that attack is starting and he has to go. Notice that he's going to draw his firearm very, very quickly out of concealment and drive it out. That guy, he was carrying that gun in this particular case, appendix, and this is an advantage of appendix carry. And now he's going to be out there to be first and put a shot on target. You notice that the bad guy actually shot back at this point, if you're paying attention. But because our good guy was acting quickly and put shots on him, this guy's shot went errant and wide. When you're first, that starts making him make mistakes. Next, you notice that our good guy moved. Everybody else got out of the way as well. I love that one guy got down and one guy got away. Those were both very good solutions. And our intended victim got up, started shooting, and then moved while he was still putting shots on target. Excellent work of planning, of awareness, of having his tools on him, of knowing when the time was to act, acting definitively, being first, and moving when he needed to cover his ass.
And there you go. There's another lesson. These are so helpful to look at because it's a real footage, real video. Let's now go to Tim for another important report. Tim.
I'm looking at an article on Breitbart that I find very upsetting, and actually it's making me a bit angry, and I'll explain why. A teenage American Idol contestant was uncomfortable immediately after Katy Perry kissed him. A contestant on American Idol says he was uncomfortable when singer-host Katy Perry kissed him on the show during his audition. Benjamin Glaze, a 19-year-old from Oklahoma, told the New York Times in an interview after his audition on American Idol that he was saving his first kiss experience for his first special relationship with a girl, but had the moment taken from him when the pop star Perry coerced him into kissing her. When asked by the American Idol judges if he had ever kissed a girl, Glaze said he was saving the experience for a relationship. Quote, "I can't kiss a girl without being in a relationship," unquote, Glaze said. That's when Perry told Glaze to walk over to the judge's table before quickly kissing him on the lips and throwing her arms up in conquest after the moment and high-fiving her fellow judges Luke Bryan and Lionel Richie. Quote, "Come here, bud, come here right now, come here right now, come here," unquote, Perry told Glaze before kissing him.
What a slut.
Now Glaze says the kiss was something he never asked for or wanted.
That's sexual assault.
It is. She disrespected his morality, his values. Absolutely. And this thing of conquest, that she was able to conquer something that was pure. Steal his first kiss.
See, they do that nowadays.
He should have walked out of there.
He should have absolutely walked out of there.
He should have walked out of there. This was sexual assault.
He should sue her.
I was a tad bit uncomfortable, Glaze told the New York Times. I wanted to save it for my first relationship. I wanted it to be special. Would I have done it if she had said, "Would you kiss me?" No, I would have said no. Glaze continued, "I know a lot of guys would be like, heck yeah, but for me, I was raised in a conservative family and I was uncomfortable immediately. I wanted my first kiss to be special." Glaze's uncomfortable kissing moment with Perry, though, was turned into a promotional post and video for the ABC network show. So it's not just Perry; it's the whole culture. Yeah.
Sue that little slut.
But this young man made a mistake in going to that Idol audition in the first place, because that's the kind of culture that surrounds the entertainment business, and it's if you want to stay pure, then you have to stay out of places where there's a lot of dirt and mud. That's the way to stay clean. Anyway, I'm upset by that.
Golly, that's really too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a young boy who wants to keep that first kiss for his wife.
Right. For his, yeah.
And, you know, basically she forced it upon him.
Right.
And this is the danger, you know, this when our kids went to high school and middle school, we told them, you got to be careful because girls or boys even in America may force themselves upon you.
Yes.
And you have to defend yourself.
Yes. And Katy Perry used her celebrity status to
bully
him and assault him sexually. And this was
what a trash head.
This was a terrible thing that happened. I don't know if rape is the right word, but well, it doesn't fit the legal definition of rape, but
I mean, that's definitely sexual harassment.
It's sexual harassment, it's sexual assault, yeah.
Yeah, that's a sexual assault.
Yeah. Another, better to calm us down, Shaq O'Neal on school shootings, semi-automatic weapons ban won't work.
Good, Shaq. All right.
Put cops in the schools.
Well, Shaq is a cop.
Yeah, it says here that he is a honorary reserve officer has been named honorary reserve officer by police departments around the country. But anyway, Shaq O'Neal says that having armed police officers on school campuses is a better way to protect students than passing stricter gun laws.
Good. Yes,
During an
Shaq.
interview with WABC in New York City, the former NBA star weighed in on the gun rights debate, which has been reignited since a former student with a history of mental health issues shot and killed 17 people at a Florida high school. The government should give law enforcement more money, O'Neal said in the interview. Give more money. Okay, well, he's close. You recruit more people, and guys that are not ready to go on the streets, you put them in front of the schools. You put them in front of the schools, you put them behind the schools, you put them inside the schools, and we need to pass information, O'Neal said. I would like to see police officers in schools, inner cities, private schools. Better if you let the staff and teachers carry guns if they want to, or if they're trained.
That's way better.
Yeah. The Hill reported O'Neal has plans to run for sheriff in Georgia in 2020. A longtime advocate for law enforcement, he has been named an honorary reserve officer by police departments around the country after completing an unofficial police academy program in 2016, according to ESPN. In the interview, O'Neal added that he doesn't believe a ban on semi-automatic weapons will reduce the number of those guns already on the streets. There's a lot of these weapons already on the streets, O'Neal said. So it's not like if you say, okay, these weapons are banned, people are going to go, oh man, let me turn it in. That's definitely not going to happen.
Well, at least he's right on that.
O'Neal said he supported the national school walkout protests held across the country on Wednesday, even if the protesters were calling for the kind of gun restrictions he doesn't think will work. O'Neal said he supports stricter background checks, one reform floated since the shooting, the Hill reported. I wish I could join him, but hopefully it sends a message to the powers that be, O'Neal said, because we have to stop this. O'Neal, or Shaq to most of his fans, is considered one of the best NBA players of all time, and now works as an analyst with Inside the NBA on TNT. Now I can understand why these kids feel betrayed by adult society, adult leaders. Adult leaders have not created a safe environment for them at school, and they deserve to be safe. And so I can understand that their frustration and their anger over that betrayal. But passing more gun laws, as Shaq said, is not the way to go.
Shaq is right.
Yeah.
On that element, at least he's right on that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at the counter-protests. 1,000 students across the region take part in a national walkout day.
There were counter-protests, yes.
Let's look at some of the counter-protests here. This Philadelphia AP, CBS. Thousands of students across Delaware Valley took part in Wednesday's National Walkout Day to protest gun violence following last month's massacre at Florida High School. Delaware Valley.
Well, I don't think that refers to our school district here.
That must be Philadelphia. It says Philadelphia.
Delaware Valley is all along the Delaware River. So
yeah. In Philadelphia, 1,000 students left from the Philadelphia School District headquarters and marched to City Hall to make their voices heard about gun violence. Because of all the students actually coming together for something, I feel as though people will listen, said Deborah Blount, student. She's a student there. I have family in Florida, so that could have been any of my family members, said student Nadir Jones. I think that Philadelphia supporting Florida is a good step in making a change. Bad. Up to 1,000 students of Central High School in Olney walked out. It's so important to be part of this. I mean, our peers are dying, and I'm scared for my life. I'm scared for my friends' lives, etc. Yeah, and those stupid leftist liberals who you are working for don't want you to be safe. They keep on putting danger signs, gun-free zone magnet signs outside your schools, and they are putting you all at risk, you dumb children.
Even though they won't put the same signs in front of their own homes.
They will not put those signs, gun-free zone, in front of their homes. Mm-hmm. You're being exploited, manipulated, and used by the left to bring about their agenda of centralized control and the immorality of and theft of socialism and communism. You are simply being used as useless idiots and useless pawns. They are not for your protection. They want you to be disarmed. They want your schools to be a magnet for crazed-out lunatics so they can justify a larger state government and justify the confiscation of firearms for all citizens. These people are absolutely sick. And of course, I'm not saying that they're gleefully wishing for that to happen, but when it happens, like Rahm Emanuel said, they don't let a good crisis go to waste. I'm trying not to shout right now, okay? Now,
doing a good job.
Let's see, where's the counter-protest? The walkout lasted about 45 minutes. About a dozen students held a counter-protest defending the Second Amendment. None of those students commented after their walkout. So there was a small counter-protest. Again, these young children are being manipulated and exploited, and they're being brainwashed by the majority of the media. Did you know the media? 7% only 7% says they're conservative. 7% of the media. So it shows you how much of a massive bias the media has and journalism has.
Yes, and it's hypocrisy as well. For example, here, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo takes part in an anti-gun die-in protest surrounded by armed
guards. By gun-toting men. He's against guns, but then he has gun-toting men around him.
Yes.
He's fine when they have gun-toting men for him. He's not fine when it's for your children because they're slaves and they should be massacred, allowed to be massacred, allowed to be in gun-free zones with massacre magnets so that they can try to justify the disarmament of the people and justify the bigger government that they always try to create to ravage, rape, and pillage you through centralized force. These people are absolutely anti-human. They are absolutely evil and wicked. And they're the biggest hypocrites on the planet, folks. They say they're against guns, and then they have guns surrounding them. Oh, but only the elites are able to have these guns, right? Only these guys with armed guards are able to have guns. The normal person is not able to have guns to protect themselves or their family or their property because they don't want you to own property, folks. This is the reality in all communist dictatorships. Socialism just being a different grade of communism. It's all centralized power, centralized dominion of the use of force. You think you have private property rights in communist or socialist areas? You think Venezuela has socialist or communist, private property rights? That leftist Irish talk show host that I debated was saying that France is not a socialist state. When they can confiscate your land, they totally disarmed you. Where they can confiscate your, in Europe, they can confiscate your bank money if they declare a state of emergency. That's not treating you like a king or queen. That's treating you as a slave, which you are under that political elitist system. You are just made to believe that you have freedoms because you can go eat coffee and baked goods at your cute little French bistros and bakeries. But they don't let you have the right of sovereigns, of true ownership of the land, as the government has. You know, public land that all the commies always say is for everybody. That just simply becomes the asset of the elite class. Look at Kim Jong-un. Look at Maduro. They have a lot of public land, but what do they use it for? They use it for private businesses, private factories, enterprises. Look at Harry Reid out there in Nevada when he was trying to kill the Bundys and chase out the Bundys and start another freaking American Civil War. His son was into making a solar company deal with the Chinese for $5 billion? And that's on public land, folks. Do you see how the elites use it as private assets? They fool you into saying that they'll take care of it. They'll create the BLM that will take care of the land and hold it in public so nobody can destroy it. And then they'll build $5 billion deal solar farms with the Chinese for their child. These people, the left, are commies. Do you understand? They're communists. Do you in the stupid Irish talk shows, he was saying, I don't think the prime minister of France would consider his nation a socialist nation. He's going to consider. I said, I don't care what the politicians designate their nation as.
Kim Jong-un calls his country democratic.
Exactly. Kim Jong-un calls North Korea the Democratic Republic of North Korea.
Democratic
People's Republic of Korea. The Democratic DPRK, right? People's Republic of Korea. They call it democracy. What is Venezuela? What does Maduro call Venezuela?
That's the Bolivarian something or other. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Bolivarian Republic, I think, is the official name.
Republic. Oh, they call it a republic. See that? As if it has representative government. These are what these liars are all. They just think you're so stupid that they can centralize power, become a socialist communist state, and then just by labeling it a democratic or a republic, that somehow it is. It's such bull shish kebab. You understand that? Thank goodness for the internet. Thank goodness for all these different decentralized platforms like DTube that are coming out. We may have to migrate to DTube as YouTube starts shutting us down and shutting conservative voices down. They have already attempted to shut us down. They've shut down our live streaming on our other channel. They were trying to go after us again on the persecuted on this channel. Who knows? We may have to migrate off this platform and go to DTube, which is decentralized tube, which of course is exploding in growth. DTube is exploding in growth. Advertisers want to follow the money, so they're going to follow where people are going, where the eye, because they need eyes to see their advertisements. So as long as people migrate off and make DTube accounts, and as they become more and more oppressive on YouTube, just migrate over, which is on a blockchain decentralized system. Well, advertisers will follow the money. They'll follow the people. They'll follow the eyes. So we can speak. We can vote with our choices. We can vote by boycotting YouTube. We can vote by signing up. Let's say you want to still use YouTube. Fine. At least start a DTube account. Sign up with DTube. Make an account there too. Make a channel there. And just by you making that decision to make a DTube channel, you are now then part of the revolution to stop the totalitarian left from its censoring, from its hate crimes, from its racism, from its intolerance and bigotry. They can't have a church where poor Asian people and dark-skinned Asian people and black African descent people, along with Caucasians, will wear crowns of royalty, standing as co-heirs with Christ with the rod of iron. They can't stand that, and they banned our channel, shut down that ceremony because they were so scared of the message of freedom and unity and royalty and kingship that brings. They banned the live streaming of that event. And what was their explanation for that? It's spam. That was their explanation. We've violated community guidelines for showing our service. What the hell? obvious censorship by the 10,000 recently hired SPLC associates that YouTube has hired as their police to punish opposing views and censor opposing views, which they've now done with the Health Ranger, Mike Adams, which they've done with people in the gun community like Hank Strange, a black African-American gun enthusiast. They've shut his channel down, these racist bigots. Military Arms channel, they've shut down. They're always trying to shut down InfoWars and Alex Jones. They've been successful in shutting down Steven Crowder now and some of his videos. Banned him from Twitter. Banned Milo Yiannopoulos. Look, we don't agree with all these people in the liberty movement with their views and or lifestyles. But what we do agree is that the left is a communist organization now that clothes themselves in the labels of democracy and republics, just like the North Koreans, just like Venezuela. They are in the same program of evil. They want to disarm you. They want to take away your real property rights because you don't have real property rights unless you can defend that property like a king. The government can take it at any time, which is, of course, prohibited to use people's residences as a station for government troops, what the British were doing, and that's why it's in the Bill of Rights. That prohibits that. We're living in such crazy times, folks, but it's so important to understand the biblical description of the kingdom of God and our right as God's heirs and co-heirs to have the inheritance, as Psalm 2 says, I will give you the nations for your inheritance and the ends of the earth for your possession. And you shall rule them with the rod of iron. And the rod of iron, of course, as we know, is the word poimaino. The rule of the rod of iron is the word poimaino, which means the shepherding of the rod with the rod of iron and the protecting with the rod of iron. Decentralized rod of iron ownership to sovereign citizens that enjoy the right of kings, private property, freedom from taxation, right to bear arms, you name it. Where we stand with Christ as peace police and peace militia, everybody as a law enforcement agent, everybody as a military personnel, decentralized, not being able to control by centralized power. Centralized government not allowed to grow over 10% GDP. We're talking about the kingdom of God that then reverses the dominion of the use of force to the hands of those who have been oppressed. And as Matthew 5 says, those who are poor in spirit shall inherit the kingdom of God. It is the normal man and woman that are poor in spirit as they've been ruled over by the elites that continue to disarm and say they hate guns, but yet they have gun-toting guards all around them. Arrogant, elitist, hypocritical pieces of trash will rule no longer in the kingdom of God. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Thank you for joining us today, folks, on this edition of the King's Report. We pray that you have a blessed day this day. Give God all the glory. Stand up. Create a YouTube account. Do what you can do. Take action. Exercise your rights. Stand and fight for them. Your voice will be heard. We'll see you tomorrow, 5 a.m. sharp, on the King's Report. God bless, Godspeed, and may His kingdom come.